Welcome back to Northampton Football Podcast with Michael Harriman this week. Mike, you alright?
Yeah, not so bad, thanks. Yeah.
Good man. Sam's with me as well. Sam, you alright?
Melting.
Yeah, it's
melting,
boiling
mate.
in there, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Obviously, thanks to Hayford for letting us use the facility today. It's boiling in there.
It is, yeah.
But we're alright. Michael, good week?
Yeah, busy week as always, but yeah, it's alright.
Yeah.
Like I said, weather cheered up a little bit, so you can't not enjoy it really, but yeah. How about you guys? Been busy?
Yeah, flat out.
Oh, sorry, that's my phone. Apologies.
Football-wise, you busy?
No, I'm enjoying my time off, but I'm in that stage now where I'm like, right, I'm done with the time off. Let's just get back.
Yeah,
into
ready to
that.
go again next season.
Yeah, I feel like obviously got back into it towards the end of the season and a bit like, no, just got back into it now, I'm having to stop and so once the first few weeks of end of the season go, you want to just get back out there and just enjoy it.
We'll ask you the big question we ask everybody. What on earth do you do on Saturdays without football?
I'm alright because quite lucky at the moment my daughter plays.
Oh, okay.
So I go watch her, so I'm
same,
quite busy with football tournaments. We were in Leicester last week, so yeah, like I said, my weekends are pretty much football anyways, the whole household, so yeah, it's really good.
Who's she playing for?
She plays for Morsley, so down up in Kettering Way, so yeah, we're alright, but she's under 10s, they're a really good little team, they've won the league, won a few cups this season as well, so yeah, it's taken after her father in that respect, which is quite nice.
My lad's exactly the opposite way. He's a really good footballer and I wasn't. So he won the Partners tournament on Sunday in a blistering heat.
Yeah.
Scored his penalty in the final, well chuffed.
Yeah.
From a dad's point of view, chuffed, mate.
Get all emotional, I don't know.
Don't you?
That's the same thing as mine, because my daughter scored in the semi-final on a Sunday in Leicester, first goal for the club she plays for, and I said, try not to cry. I was just welling up a bit. I was like,
mate, I can't help myself.
Calm down.
I can't help myself. I go celebrate just with him as well.
I know, yeah. It's a bit, like you said, a little part of me is living back through her, which is nice, so yeah.
Mate, it gets worse on Sunday, so I promised my lad if he scored the penalty, I'd do a celebration. I didn't tell him what celebration. As soon as he scored his penalty, he looks round, I'm doing the Robbie Keane. You know, the forward roll with the guns.
Yeah.
Mate, I'm an Ireland fan, of course I'm going to do that. He told me he was embarrassed.
Don't blame him.
Like, what's it? That's film, isn't it? His dad celebrated, and the kid says to him, I can't think what film it is. Is that your dad? He's like,
no. Oh, they know. They know, mate. They know my love.
Obviously, your football career, then we'll touch on your career. What led you to Diamonds?
I think it comes from end of my time in Northampton. I just knew for me, professional football, maybe it just faded out for me. So I wanted to break, and I wanted a break from football in general as a player, really. And I said I had that time off where I wasn't doing anything, and then I slowly started to miss it, and being in that environment where on a Saturday, that build up to a game and the pressures you put in yourselves. And I said it came about because Ryan Hughes, the centre half, I knew at my time at Northampton, and I thought, look, it's towards the end of the season, I'll just go in and train, just getting around that football environment again. So I was like, can I have your manager's number? Like, just want to come down. So I messaged Chris Nunn, and I was like, yeah, look, I'm local, I'm in Wellingborough, it's 15 minutes from the stadium, can I just come down and train? And he rang me up, he was like, look, we want you, if you're more than happy, come and train and play some games. That's where it really started from, really, and I was honest with him in the start because I hadn't played for a while. I was like, look, I'm not going to be able to go straight in and play, nowhere near match fit, having that time off for a bit on, as you do. I was enjoying myself. Like, part of football was done and dusted, and I said going back in, but didn't really have the time. I think it was 7 or 8 games left of the season, so just jumped in feet first, but I loved every minute of it.
Playing a different position to normal, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think they realised that maybe just put some fast pace around me, but like I said, it was just more coming in and using my experience. It was a very young squad at the time. It still is, really, and like I said, just that wise head at the back. I'd like to try and call myself not experienced because it makes me sound old. I'm not ready to admit that yet, but like I said, just that wise head that maybe has been there, done it, and just able to give back, teach and educate boys that are still learning and coming through their own careers. And that's what it is for me now, is just that role of like a father figure role, just teaching them and getting them through it, really.
I think there's one player that I know of there that will definitely help. You'll help that is Pharrell Anderson.
Yeah,
great player.
Yeah, I've seen bits of Pharrell because obviously I think he was dual registration when I
so.
came in
With
the last
Cook
few
now, I
games.
think it is,
But
isn't it?
yeah, so like I said, it's just like I said, it's getting. I came in really. I'm open. Really, in hindsight, I should have come in maybe a couple of months more. I was thinking about debating it, and I just never did it. I'm one of these people that don't really like jumping in the deep end if I can. I like to know where I am, where things are going, a lead, and like to try and plan it out as much as you can. But like I said, got into that stage where I went in, and before I knew it was over, and I was back in, like I said, in off season. So yeah, but like I said, there's plenty of stuff to look forward to in terms of the Diamonds coming forward, especially with myself involved now. So yeah.
When you made that phone call, like you say, you wanted to go and train, was it even on your mind that you were going to sort of be offered that role to play? Were you thinking about playing or?
No, if I was honest, I weren't thinking about. It got to a stage where I think I just needed to get out of the house. Really, if I'm being honest, like fell into that thing where I was working with Peterborough and I was just coming home, and then there was no real social side of myself where I could go out and just let off steam. I was working, coming home, being a father, stuff like that. So it was just more in a space of maybe my mental health, really, where I just needed to get back out and let off some steam, really. And so like I said, it was tough because I debated making the call but just couldn't bring myself to do it, if that makes sense. And I don't know why, because
sometimes that anxiety, isn't it? Things that have previously happened in football that you're on the cusp and edge of.
Said you have that, you definitely have that in them challenging moments, as you say. But I said it was just something that was nagging and stopping me doing it. And then I think I was out watching Dora at events club during the day, and she was playing football. I just thought, I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it, and I did it. But as I sent the message, I kind of put my phone away and just thought, right, I'm just gonna ignore it for an hour, just so if anything comes back. And then I did, and then like I said, Nunny rung within probably half an hour, and I didn't answer it. I was a bit like, what am I doing? What am I scared of? Football's all I've known since.
It's your bread and butter, isn't it?
Yeah, from like an early age, I can still remember football, and I don't know what I was doing. I don't know where I was. Maybe it shows that maybe mentally I wasn't where I probably am now. And but yeah, like I said, it once the training come in, and then Nunny mentioned it, and I was like, look, I knew where Rushden were. It weren't a great season in terms of where they were, and I thought there's nothing to lose here for myself. I can go in, enjoy myself, get back into football, and see if that's that part of me I've been missing. So like I said, once I stepped in the building and I was on the bench, and like I said, you just get that buzz for it back, and that environment of 3 o'clock, getting yourself ready and walking out onto the pitch, and I said I've not looked back since, really.
Did you have the anxiety of, am I still good enough to be it? Obviously, I get that you're quite a relatively young age for a footballer to not be playing pro football after having such a career so far. But was there that anxiety of, can I still cut it? I get the levels are massively different.
My only issue was, like, I've never ever doubted my footballing abilities in terms of that way. But I think, like you said, in terms of like, I hadn't played for a while, and then when the club announced it, and you see yourself in the pictures, like, and it says like, oh, it's successful career, something like, you do have that little doubt because you come in with such a reputation, and you have to live up to that, I guess.
Because with all due respect to Diamonds, to any local club around here, you're a massive signing.
Yeah, that's where I'm kind of like, I don't like, anyone that knows me, I don't really like to trump my own horn in a way, I keep myself to myself. I set my head down. I like not do as I say, but do as I do. I like to lead in terms of how I conduct myself, how I put myself on the pitch. So I think that put a bit more added pressure on myself. But then I think my first game was a Tuesday night, and I went in, I can't remember what team it was, and I was just thinking, I'm nervous, but there was nothing to be nervous about. I think we got relegated. I was on the bench on the Saturday, we got relegated, which obviously wasn't great. But then, like I said, that Tuesday night when I played the game, there was no pressure really. It was just to go out and express myself. And the first 10 minutes, like I said, the ball comes to you, and you are a little sceptical, like, how's my touch? Am I a bit rusty and ropey? But I said, you just it becomes instinct, and it becomes second nature, and you just go through the motions of what I've done, like I said, since I was a kid. And I said, I never really look back. It's taken me places now where I feel like I'm more busy doing football now than I was ever as a pro. And it's really weird how that things have worked out. Like, I've got my my full-time job at Peterborough, where it's football but it's not football. And then I said I'm in the Diamonds. I'm now lucky enough to be part of the coaching staff there, which is a fantastic opportunity for me to expand my horizons really in football. Like I said, I'm just busy non-stop now, and it's really nice because there's always something to do, and it's brilliant.
Someone's trying to take my busiest man in football role here. Yeah.
So obviously, like you say, you're in the coaching role now, signed on for next year as well at Rushden and Diamonds. Is that a player coach role like?
Yeah, it's like I said, if I'm being honest, I've never ever seen myself as a coach, like a manager. Like, it never really appealed to me. Like I'm not that type of person, because I think you can evolve and
But you sound like you got the qualities, that you lead by example, you get your head down, like they're all the qualities I'd expect from a coach.
Like, a lot of people have said that to me, a lot of former players, like when I speak to them and they're like, oh, I can always see you being a manager one day, and it's just something I've never really, maybe it's my fault because I kind of went for a role where I never thought football would end. I would just always be a football till 35, 36 maybe if I was lucky and stuff like that. But like I said, Nani rang me up at the end of the season and was like, look, well, I've got this opportunity, I'd love you to come on board and be a coach, be that barrier between us and the players where we can know what's going on in the dressing room and like that. And it's a learning opportunity for myself. And I pondered on it for a couple of days. It didn't even take me that. I knew just that, I think that next step in my own personal journey and career maybe was to make that step, and I did it. And like I said, so far in the few months I've been doing it, it's been a real eye-opener of learning things that I wouldn't have seen on that football player side, which is fantastic. And like I said, moving into the season, you just want it to come around quickly. And like I said, pre-season will be a good start where you're getting back in, you're going to meet the new players that are coming in and stuff like that. But like I said, you just want to get to that bread and butter, that nitty-gritty when the season starts, and it becomes that purpose where you need to go out and get 3 points. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
So just rolling it back somewhat a little bit, did you have obviously you can't discuss who, but did you have any more offers in the summer? Because I presume you're kind of a prized asset for local clubs around there.
If I'm honest, no. I haven't even thought about it. There might have been opportunities for me to go elsewhere, but I had such a good time in my last 5-6 weeks at the Diamonds. I didn't even think about it. I didn't even contemplate it. I walked into the dressing room and the warmth and the buzz around the staff and the players was fantastic. And like I said, I didn't even think about it. I just knew that it's local for me, which is great because, like I said, I've got a young family, so I don't have to worry about travelling and stuff like that. But it just made sense. It's a great fit for myself, and I said, especially now with the coaching staff side of it, everyone was so welcome and warm, and I fitted right in. And like I said, it's where you want to be. You want to be enjoying your time, not hating it in a way because you don't get the best out of yourselves and others. So yeah,
I think that does go through the whole of Diamonds. So I'm a coach at the pre-academy level, and we had our end of season or end of season awards on Friday, and you can just see the passion, the enjoyment, and all the positive things from Diamonds throughout the whole of the club, going from the first team all the way down to like the under sixes and the fives and stuff.
But it's infectious, isn't it? That's why I think like there's so many people, because we went to the community day a couple of weeks ago, and I said there were so many people and the buzz around the place was fantastic. And I said it breeds that infectious thing where you want to be part of it. And I said for 2 seconds I didn't think I wouldn't be. I just thought once the season I was ready for the next one. So yeah, it's a testament I think to how the Diamonds have conducted themselves, and I said the people that they've got in the building, because they just radiate people to stay, and the interest doesn't come on from the outside world really in terms of that sort of stuff.
In regards to obviously you ended the season at Diamonds, then obviously it was relegation, but you finished the season right in top form really, didn't you? Was you what sort of changed that back end of the season?
I'm not really sure. Like I said, I think when the season finished, I think we were like second or third in the form guide. I think we were, like I said, I think
you got a really good, like, was it a midweek win? Somewhere really big for you guys. I think Joe said when he was on the podcast.
Didn't you beat Bedford Town? We beat
Bedford 4-0 at home, didn't we? And then we went to Tamworth and nearly beat Tamworth. We were flying at the top. They scored right at the end, didn't they?
I'm not sure if you knew before you came, but there's obviously a little bit of like issue between Tamworth and Diamonds due to like ex-managers and ex-players.
I didn't know the full story. I knew there was some sort of
bit of angst, I think.
Yeah, but like I said, makes football what it is. Do you know what I mean? The raw emotion of something going on like that, it just heightens the game up, and you step up for that. Do you know what I mean? You don't want to be that loose cog in the wheel, so to speak. But like I said, I think maybe, as you say, maybe once the relegation was confirmed, that pressure of and the relief maybe that it was done might have taken a lot off, especially the young boys. But like I said, it was just like it seemed a different place towards the end. Like I said, we were going into games and it was like, right, well, we can win this. And I don't know if that's what maybe changed, the mentality changed. Like I said, what Nunny and the boys have done there so far was they've built the foundations, and I think that we're just building on them now. But like I said, game's all about confidence, isn't it? When your confidence is sky high, things seem to go your way, and we got a little bit of that when I think my first game was a draw at home to Leeson 0-0. That were trying to get promoted, and like I said, it's just them little wins, something like that can turn the tides of a season. It certainly did that, and like I said, we just seem to go strength from strength. It's a shame the season came to an end a bit too soon for us, really.
Was it always the plan for Chris and his staff to stay on next season as well?
From what I believe so, yeah. Like I said, I don't think anyone's really thought about going anywhere else. No. I think there's, like I said, the club is going places, I believe, in the way it conducts itself. So I think, like I said, you want to be around the club at the moment, and like I said, going into next season, we know what we can do. I think if we take that form from last year and emulate that, if we stand ourselves in doing something really special next year. And like I said, I think with Nunny and the boys staying on as well, I think it just shows that there's some belief in that club and what we can do. So yeah.
And you've got the best goalkeeper in the league, yeah.
Well, yeah,
Sned's
that's
class,
doesn't it? Well, I played with Sned for 6 games, and some of the stuff I saw was incredible. Like I said, he is really a top goalkeeper, and we're lucky to have him. But like I said, we've hopefully moving forward, we'll stop him having to work so hard.
Oh yeah.
So we put it that way.
Is there much? Obviously, I know it's a close season, but is there much going on beyond? How's the rebuild going for next year?
In terms of rebuild, I think the guys have pretty much got where they want to be. I think, like I said, we start a couple of weeks' time. So, like I said, you really just need to get back into it and see how these players fit in and hit the ground running, so to speak. I've already got my excuses in, like I'm hitting 31 this year, so I'm not going to be able to keep up these young pups in the pre-season. So yeah, but like I said, you don't really know. Like I said, pre-season's 4 or 5 weeks of just building up, and like I said, we'll focus on that once it gets to it. But like I said, it's exciting times, and just want it to get going and just start the balls rolling.
Good. Do you know what's the aim for next year? Is it promotion, or are you just going to see what happens?
I think that the thing is, you could easily just go, I want to get promotion, but like I said, I think we need to establish ourselves and see what the league is like for maybe the first few weeks, because I said we're in the Northern, which is a little bit harder, so
a few tough teams in there.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think we need to just get in, establish ourselves, see how we're going, and then maybe evaluate it from there. But like I said, every team wants to get promoted, don't you? Wrong, you want to be at the right end of the table, and we'll definitely push for that. I know with myself being in there, I'll definitely be pushing for that. Winner, always have been, and I probably won't want to settle for less than that. So yeah.
Does Chris share that mentality as well?
Of course, I think he wouldn't have myself and the others in there if we didn't, if that makes sense, and we didn't have the same ambitions as himself. I think, like I said, he surrounded himself with great people. Like I said, that rubs off on the players, and I think it showed towards the end of the season. Like I said, we'd come in a great room, and it looked like we'd run through brick walls for him. And I think if you've got a squad that are willing to do that for your manager, you can go to all sorts of places.
Obviously, Sam's had a few big games there next year. I see Corby, one of your former managers there, Gary Setchell.
Yeah, like I said, there's so many to look forward to. It'd be a local derby, and I'm guessing both teams will get a great turnout for when at home and away. So, like I said, there are so many games to look forward to. And like I said, when it comes to the ex-managers, I loved working with Stetch when I did, and like I said, it adds that little bit of spice. You want to always get one over on your mate and stuff like that. So, like I said, it'd be brilliant. But like I said, the main thing for us is just to take each game as it comes, and we'll definitely do that. But like I said, it's just the waiting game now.
So, like, as Jordan's got written down it, are they big clashes or just another game?
For me, I've learned through my career that you've got to treat it as just another game. I think you can easily get swept up in the occasion, and like I said, I've seen a few players possibly do that and be a bit rash or get themselves sent off or just not turn up for the game instead. So for me, I think you just got to approach it as any other game. You've got to go through the same sort of routines you'd go through and the same build up to a game that you'd go through, because the fans and the atmosphere will bring that edginess and that elevation to it. But like I said, as a player, you just need to do everything as it's a normal game, and like I said, and look back on it, and if you get the result, enjoy it, and if you don't, there's something you just learn upon.
Yeah.
Nice. We'll go and have a look at your career then, obviously where it all started. And so you started at the QPR Academy, is that right?
Yeah, I think I joined at the age of 11, and it was a weird one, because if I look back on it, I had trials at Arsenal and didn't get in, Leyton Orient didn't get in. Kind of like was getting to feel like maybe that wasn't my career, where I was going in maybe my football life. But I was at school and we had an ex-England scout become a PE teacher at our school, and he was like, "Oh, good enough, you're a really good player. Like, and I've got connections at QPR. If you're interested, to go down for a trial." And I went down, and as you do a 6 weeks trial, and I managed to get in. And like I said, it's funny how things go, because you were close to maybe accepting that maybe just football at Sunday League level and would be where I was, and I said it all kind of changed in that thing. But like I said, I started as a midfielder in my Sunday League and I signed for QPR as a striker, which was a bit like, how's that work? I was probably about 2 foot tall at the time, I was really small. But like I said, football works in mysterious ways, and like I said, I'd come up, and through the age groups I could slowly see myself moving back, and ended up as a fullback and just ended up staying there. And like I said, I got to 16 and I got my scholarship early, I got my pros early at QPR, because obviously they saw something in me, that hard work and maybe that dedication that I put in through them years, Warnock gave me, and never looked back.
Any famous people come through with you, or going on to have career type players? Or
when I look back, the only 2 players that are still playing now is I played with Raheem Sterling. So under 16 level, I was captain, and he was 14 and he was playing our level, and he was ripping it. I mean, he was taking the mickey out of players who were 3 years older than him.
Yes.
And do you know what? I'm not surprised. Looking back, he has been where he's been because he was a talent.
So, just a quick question. I remember he'd done the skill school, didn't he, Soccer and Raheem Sterling. Were you in that video?
Yeah, I'm in that video. You'll see me in that video.
Oh, we're going to have to dig it out.
Yeah, dig it out. It's definitely him and Christian Nanetti it was. And like I said, Raheem must have only been about 14 in that video.
Being tiny,
and we...
You'll find that in the description below on our YouTube video. Yeah, we'll put that link in there. So you
and
have a look.
Honestly, like, it shows how good he was. The fact that he was doing it instead of 16, 17-year-old lads, and like I said, he would turn up and he was tiny, and he just used to pick the ball up and glide. And it's a bit like, well, I was lucky enough at Wycombe to play with Eberici Eze, and he was exactly the same. They glide past people. And I can remember now, and I sit back and I'm a bit bitter in my age now, and I'm like, I hate people like that. Make it look so easy.
How old is Eze now?
Mid-20s?
Yeah. But like I said,
I
hate people that make it look so easy. For me, I spend my life working hard, doing extra, trying to get to that level, and these guys just walk up and walk past you and look like they're having fun while they do it. And like I said, but Raheem at that age was frightening, and like I said, he obviously went to Liverpool from us, brought him, and never looked back, and he's just taken it by storm and ended up being a fantastic player, which he had the foundations for at QPR, and that would have maybe that a little bit of extra experience with coaches, maybe a bit higher qualified or a bit bigger in the game, and he took off, and look at the career he's had now. And yeah, it was one of that. And the only other player I know that's still playing that I played with was Maxime, who was at Gillingham. He was my youth team captain when I was there, and like I said, that other than that, no one's really from my age come through and played, which I think is where the game's at now. Like I said, we will probably watch that Crystal Palace documentary when it says 3% of footballers in the system make it. And you look back and it's like, yeah, that's right, because a lot of the players that I played with.
Was there anyone in there that you thought, he's going to make it, that it never happened for?
There was loads. Like, there was a couple of wingers we had.
But we all remember that one player.
Yeah,
as a kid that we went to school with, or we used to train with at an academy or whatever.
Yeah.
You think he's going to be the bollocks, and then turns into be nothing.
That's the thing. Like when I stand up, I look back on my career and I went through.
You've been offered opportunity to play on a Saturday. You just turned it down.
If I don't think I'll do it with my beer ready.
Correct.
Right. But yeah, like I said, you look back and I came up with a player who was a left winger. His name was Baggerson Graham, and he was the only player coming up through my career, like my young career when I was in the academy, where I didn't want to play against because he was strong, he was athletic, he just run past people. But like I said, he just never seemed to get to that next stage. And like I said, I think it's just
with a name like that, he's got to be easy to find. Do you reckon he went on for like a non-league career or something?
Maybe,
like
I said, maybe it's worth me having a dig up and seeing how they got on. But like I said, you remember players, and like I said, it's just weird that they never ever got that chance in football, because like I said, it could have been a very different story. It could have had a Raheem Sterling story or stuff like that. But
it's strange for some. Have you seen like Bayo's story, that Bayo was at whatever English club and then he went to like Lithuania on a 6-month loan when they give him loads of racial abuse, and he come back as a much better player?
That's the thing. Like I said, it's all about experience and exposure, I guess, at football. Take you so far, I guess you have to do the rest. And knowing Bayo, his story, he's done that, you know what I mean? He's taken it by storm. And
because he was on the Under the Cosh podcast a couple of weeks ago talking about his experiences, and you just listening thinking, wow, I wouldn't have the balls to make that. That's a big step. 19 years old, going to a country that doesn't speak the lingo.
That's the thing. And like I said, especially a country where maybe who he wasn't accepted. Like I said, he went through his challenges, and to come out on the other side, like I said, a better person from that, it shows real strength and character.
Like that. I think Peter Crouch went abroad as well for a bit, didn't he?
Well, I listened to his podcast as well, like I said, and he's funny to listen to. But like I said, everyone's got a story. And
was he another one that might have been at QPR when you were there? Was he at QPR?
No, it was at QPR, but that was it would have been before my time. But like I said, you've got to make the most of it. You get the opportunities, but you that's got to take the most of them, step through the door, I guess. So.
But talking of opportunities, Premier League debut.
Yeah, it was a weird one.
Home or away, was it?
Away. I played both my Premier League games away from home. So I remember at that stage of my career was like, so I was like 18, 19, and we had a reserve squad, and was in the reserve squad, and I was trying I was probably a bit too good for my reserve squad, but maybe not just good enough first team level. We had a couple of injuries, and I remember just getting the last minute call to go on, especially the Wigan away, my first one. It was like, right, we've had an injury in training, need you to come. So I had to get tracks off the kit man and jump on, had nothing, no phone charge or nothing. So I had to call my dad. I was like, Dad, I'm going with the first team, like, can you bring me some stuff down? So he run it down and a bit like that. And I said, you went up, and it was more about just enjoying the experience being out of a first team. So we went
DW is quite an impressive stadium, isn't it?
We went up the night before, as you do, you stay in a hotel, you have pre-match meal. So all of that was new for myself. Coming out of academy football, especially at that time, it didn't really happen. So I said it was all a thing, and then I sat on the bench, and then Fitz got injured quite early, and Neil Warnock said, like, right, get warm, you could be coming on.
Didn't he used to play for Wigan as well? Is it Fitzhall?
Fitzhall, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure he was at Wigan as well.
Maybe. So he went down, and he was like, oh. So it was myself and another defender on the bench, and I thought, I'm not coming on, like, don't be silly. So we'll obviously go it because the gaffer says, so you get up, you run down, a bit like all over the place. So I like, could come on, and this was quite early, and it didn't happen. So I sat back down, and half time come, and he's come back out, and he's like, seriously, get ready because you could be coming on any minute. Then you start panicking, you're like, oh my god, like Premier League. And I said, I think I come on quite early, for about 10-15 minutes into the second half, and they said, I can remember just running on and just feel like, right, this is your moment, just take it if you can. And I said, we were 1-0 down at the time, and we come on, and they scored again. Roddy Hager, I think it was the player, scored 2.
Oh, yeah, wasn't he?
Yeah, and you're thinking,
like, from Haiti, I think.
And I said he scored, and it's just like coming up and marking them. You're like, obviously being a footballer, you watch it, you watch match of the day on the weekend, you're like, oh my god, I'm playing on the same pitch as some of these players.
They still have like the big boys, like Jimmy Bullard and all them.
Yeah, they were all around.
Was it Leighton Baines still at Wigan by then?
It might have been, yeah. I can't really remember the team, but like I said, and you got that, and I was just thinking, right, this is it. Enjoy it and take this opportunity. And like I said, we lost the game, but them experiences were fantastic. And like myself. But it was a funny story because obviously I played in that game. I was like, right, I've made it, Premier League player. Boom. Come back in on Monday and Neil Warnock called me in his office. I was like, all right. And he's gone, you're going out on loan. I was thinking, result, League 1, League 2, where are we going? You're going to St Albans. I was like, okay, Gaffer. They were blue square north of, I think.
No disrespect to them, it's a bit of a drop, isn't it?
And I was like, Gaffer, you sure? I've just like played in the Premier League and you want me to do this? He was like, yeah, I think it'd be good for your development. I was like, okay. So after a bit of didn't even think about it really, didn't really have much choice. Like your first team manager's telling you you're going on loan here. So I was like, alright, so I went. But what killed me in a way was they made such a big thing of it because I literally the week before I played Premier League, so they was like Premier League players come down St Albans. I was like, great. I was like, okay, do I get a tracksuit? No, just turn up in your QPR tracksuit every Saturday. It's like, right, okay. So I'm walking into these places in a QPR tracksuit, and people, I was just number one target straight away. And honestly, in the 2 months I was there, I must have had about 3 or 4 broken noses. Just getting battered, battered and getting stepped on. And people's like, you ain't where you are now and stuff like that. And do you know what? Looking back, it toughened me up because.
Yeah. Do you reckon that was part of his?
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was to toughen me up. And so I went for a month, and my last game got sent off. Yeah. And I think part of me was like, I can't end this on a sending off because it was quite early. We lost, I think I got the last man, I took the guy out and we went on to lose the game 5-0. And like, I was like, I can't end it on this because it just doesn't look great on myself getting sent off. So I did another month and I enjoyed it. And then, like I said, I kind of, it just petered out. And then from there, my next one was Wickham, my first loan at Wickham.
How did St Albans finish in the league at that point? Do you know, or can you remember?
I think it was.
What were they, like a middle ground?
Yeah, because it was quite weird. Because when was at QPR Academy, we got tickets to the first team games, and I remember like watching Paul Furlong play for QPR at the time and where he was, and he was finished his career at St Albans. So I played with him, and it was a bit like, wow, watched you growing up, and now I'm in the same team as you. But like I said, we used to we got cross the ball in, and Furlong was there, head it in, and like I said, I think we finished mid-table. But I said it was just looking back on it, I can see why the club done it. Like I said, at the time, I was maybe a bit naive in my own way. I was like, just play Premier League football.
Well, I'm a Leeds fan. I don't trust Neil Warnock's judgment.
Do you know what? I've never, and all managers I've worked with, I'd never have a bad word to say about any of them. I enjoyed them all, and they all teach you something different. But like I said, they all have their ways in doing it, and like I said, we all know the stories about Neil Warnock and how he is. But I don't know. I think maybe at the time at QPR, because we were successful under him, I don't think we really saw that side of him, which was, I'm guessing, great when I look back at the videos now, because I think I would have been scared of him, to be honest. I'm like that. I'm quite placid, and I don't like being too out there. So yeah, I think he definitely would scared the life out of me if I'd known what he was like before. But yeah.
So from one big bold gaffer, you went to Wickham after on loan, I presume, yeah? Who was the gaffer there? Was it Ainsworth at the time?
Yeah, Gaffer Ainsworth. And that was another one that
came. And he really laid back though?
Yeah, so it came from, like I said, from my time at QPR, because he said he remembered me when he was coming up, and I was obviously coming up through his system, which was obviously, it was great because it gave him my opportunity to play league football. But like Gaffer, Ainsworth is very rock and roll football, and like how he is in terms of he's like in a band outside of football and stuff like that. When I first went on loan, he'd just taken over, so he was still Gaz to the players. He wasn't Gaffer yet. So like I said, it was a really laid back environment. We were low. We were down towards the bottom of the table. We weren't in relegation trouble, but under him we picked up. And I think there was at one point we was like, we might hit playoffs here. It didn't really do it. Petered out. But like I said, I owe a lot to Gareth because he gave me that. Apart from my debut with Warnock, but he gave me that Football League exposure where I went in from January and played every game until the end of the season. So I think I got like 15, 16 games under my belt, and like I said, it shows because I went away a couple of years and done other things, but then I ultimately came back and signed a permanent deal with him and spent 3 years there, which I enjoyed. So yeah.
It's one of those clubs that's always the nearly maybe clubs, isn't it, Wickham? They're always pushing for promotion or playoffs, but sometimes I don't quite get
I think especially at that time, the club, where it was for where the club was, because they weren't financially the greatest, so they couldn't compete with the big boys.
They used to be proper non-league, didn't they? Share the ground with a rugby club as well.
Yeah, so when I was there, it was the Wasps. So yeah, like I said, and they weren't maybe financially where they are now, and they said.
Have you been there before, George? It's kind of in an industrial estate.
I've not been to the
one way in, one way out.
Yeah.
Nightmare when you.
I remember going there with the Cobblers when Nathan Tyson used to play for Wycombe.
Oh, Tyson.
And he's outrageous.
Outrageously quick still.
I think he's still playing somewhere, isn't he?
Yeah, I think.
Sure, I saw that.
Yeah, I know he's finished. I don't know if he's got another club for this season, but like I said, he's still playing like a good level as well.
Playing him in for Forest as well.
Like I said, they've had some big players there. When you say that, Matthias, you've got Mikel Smith was there. For
Roger Johnson that used to play for Birmingham, the centre back.
Yeah, Jono was. Jono was there when I first went on loan, and
was he?
Gary Doherty as well, centre half, stuff like that. So like going in as a young defender.
Scott Bevan in goal for
Scott
a bit.
Bevan, yeah.
And I think Scott Shearer was there as well. I'm putting out names.
There's some big names. Like I said, for a club maybe that wasn't, like I said, maybe we're in a place where it was with the big boys in their leagues at the time. They attracted some big players, but I think that's just how like I said, I've been quite lucky. I've been to a lot of clubs that have been very family orientated and.
Weirdest mascot of all time ever, is it not? The choir boy.
Choir boy.
Yeah.
What was it?
So that's their nickname. It's a choir boy, mate.
It's
a dude dressed up like a choir boy.
Yeah. So, like I said, I look back at some great memories there. Some not so great. As we talk about my time at Wycombe, like I said, that my first promotion as a player really, and I broke my leg early on in the season and missed majority of the season and ended up coming up with a leg. But like I said, you have them highs and lows in football, and I said I look back and I only have fond memories of most clubs I've been to.
Obviously, yeah, you had was it a couple of months there to start at Wycombe, but obviously permanent. You went to Gillingham before you signed there permanent. What was that like?
That was a bit of a different one because I was.
Who was your gaffer there?
So it started off as Martin Allen.
Oh, see, I've seen the podcast about him. He seems like my type of manager.
Yeah, I loved
Off his nut. Have you not seen the podcast? No. He's trying to prove a point to somebody. He was like, we're going to run through this bush. It's a big, massive, 6 foot long, spiky bush. He ran through it, mate. Yeah. And he come through the other side. His players didn't run through it.
I know, but I loved him. He's one of my favourite managers I've worked with. I think if he loved you, and he'd give you everything he could, you know. And I remember walking in and he used to call me Treacle and stuff like that. And I was like, a bit weird that, but... Any
stories about the dog?
Monty.
Yeah.
Loved. I have so many things. Like, so we was like, obviously, unfortunately, like, we were... So he just got them promoted from League 2 to League 1, so I joined in League 1. And we didn't have we was obviously, he got sacked, or we was down near the bottom. But we were going through a tough time, we were losing games. So he got us on the training pitch and he was like, right, I'm going to show you how to defend. Picked up the ball, smashed it. Monty has sprinted after it as a dog would chase the ball. That's how you defend. That's how you close down. And I said, Monty went everywhere with him. And like I said, there was a running joke in the changing room, like, where it was manager Cam with Monty the dog, because he used to go everywhere and be careful because he's wearing a wire and stuff like that, which was brilliant. Which we knew wasn't true, but you know what it's like. You just make up little things to get through the day. But like I said, I loved him, and he got the sack, and we went into Peter Taylor. So he just left.
Oh, the one ex-England?
Yeah, he just left England 21s, and I think...
He's somewhere non-league now.
Yeah, if I'm being honest,
I
don't like to speak ill of people. Old school, and he's probably my least favourite manager I've worked under, because I think he made that mistake of still thinking he was in an England setup where you would be probably with more elite players, where he was coming into a League 1 team that was struggling. So I think, if I say for myself, he probably didn't treat the players probably the way he could have done. He could have probably done better and maybe got a bit more out of us. But like I said, I don't know.
Is this the time at Gillingham when they'd bought a few from Gray's Athletic, like Dennis Ollie that used to be at QPR? And...
No, that was before. So this would have been 20.
Because they had like Stuart Thurgood, I think it was, as well, from Gray's.
Yeah, see, that would have been before my time. We had, I don't know if I had
Danny Jackman there before he went to Cobblers.
So I had Danny Kedwell up front, Cody McDonald, Miles Weston, Bayo. That's where
Miles Weston used to be at Leeds as well.
Yeah, so
I'm sure he went from Gillingham to Leeds.
So I first met Bayo and people like that. But like I said,
scary old unit, Bayo, isn't he?
Yeah, this was pre-BMO, so this was like before he obviously the FIFA cards, and so like I said, he wasn't that figure he is now, like I said, but like I said, he was still big and massive then, and like I said, that my first experience with him, you're like, you see, I've played against him and stuff like that, and like I said, you're going in there and you don't know what to expect, but one of the nicest guys you'll meet in football. Loved him, still speak to him now and stuff like that, and like I said, you just, football, you have your misconceptions. You see someone on a Saturday and this persona they put from, you see the people that like the hard guy on the pitch, like someone like a Jim Bullard that would run around and thing, but like I said, on the thing that's just really nice character. Like I said, Bale was exactly the same. He was just like that big, strong centre forward would come off the pitch and one of the nicest guys you meet.
See, I'm going the other way with a Bayo story. So I used to work at the Cobblers for a little bit, and I got stuck in the tunnel. I'm not sure how I got stuck there at half time. It's supposed to be like a clear area. You're not allowed in the tunnel.
Yeah.
I got stuck there as they're coming in, and we were playing Aldershot. Bayo has got Guy Maggio, who's not a small boy, up by his throat, and he's dangling. And he's giving him a load of mouth. Yeah, and basically it was like, if you don't go for multiply, I'm kicking your head in now. Yeah. Go away and throw him.
Don't get me wrong, I have seen that side of B, but it takes a lot to get him there. That wouldn't have just been... I dread to
think what Guy Maggio said.
Yeah, it would have taken a lot. Because Guy Maggio's a
6-footer, Jord.
Yeah. Well, but I've seen Bayo like that just to defend people. Like, we had a game at Wigan, I can't remember what it was, and my best mate in football ever, Luke O'Neill, is at Sunderland now. He's a wind-up merchant, but doesn't know he's a wind-up merchant, if that makes sense.
Naively shithouse him.
Yeah, so not even that. Luke's got his own way of doing things. He's like, he might come across very busy. He does, he's one of the first ones there, one last to leave, and a lot of people don't like that. But we had a game and he was winding someone up, and someone said to him, I'll see you in the tunnel afterwards. And Luke's like, yeah, alright, as a joke, not thinking the geezer's actually going to be in the tunnel. So he's in the tunnel waiting. I can't remember who the player was, I can't remember the game. And obviously, they're all pushing and shoving, and it's just Luke and me, and I'm not the biggest, so I won't do much. And then Bale's just come through and cleared house. Everyone's out of the way, and like I said, you've got him for that reason. He was great. He was a great bodyguard for me. Like I said, you got that protection. You know, he's behind you. So, but yeah, like I said, it took a lot to get B in there. But like I said, one of the nicest people you meet in football, which is great.
Have you ever seen anyone like come up against him and fancy their chances against him?
You get it though. You get people.
Surely there's a few centre halves that fancy their luck.
Yeah, everyone says it, and it's one thing saying it, and another thing, you can go right. I used to feel alright, just don't let him pin me. Don't let him get close to me because he wants to get hold of you and stuff like that. But it's not that. You've got to realise that you've got to try and get the ball. You can't just keep letting him bring it down and bring plays in. So you've got to try. And I said, good luck when you try, because once that arm comes out and he's got you, you ain't going nowhere.
And he's quicker than most think as well, isn't he?
But people just thought he just lump it up to him, he'll flick it on. He can play. He can get the ball, but I think it showed when they went into the championship and he played a lot of games. He got the ball down, play.
Got himself a FIFA card. He must be doing something wrong.
That's the thing. Like I said, people just thought Big Bayo, target man, just hit it up to him. He can't run. Like I said, he did his fair share of work for him. Who he won't mind me saying this, for the big lad he was and what he had to carry on the pitch. Like, he got around a lot and done, especially that year we got promoted and he was there. Do you know what I mean? He got us then, and he came in the change room and knew where he wanted to go with this team and kind of pulled us all with him.
He's a natural born winner though, isn't he? That's like, just his mentality is a winner's mentality.
I think that's the thing. The important thing is, like, you can surround yourself with talented players, but if they haven't got the mindset and the work rate that some players that you need, then you're not going to go far, because they said
a few of my previous under-18s are listening to that comment.
Yeah,
because attitude was a killer for some of them. I think he was there, all the kit and none of the wit, unfortunately.
That's the thing. Like I said, hard work beats talent every day of the week, and I think people just think that I need to be on the pitch doing 50 step overs and putting it in the top corner. No, for myself, it was just about running hard and battling, and I knew I weren't the most technically gifted player. I knew I weren't going to go down as a right back and do 2 step overs and put the ball in on the plate. I knew that for my game was run around, head the ball, tackle, stop my winger getting the best of me and just doing my part of the team. So I said, for me, that's the most important fundamentals. You just need the attitude and the willingness to learn and be open to criticism as well. I think that's a very much an issue that a lot of footballers aren't used to at the moment, and I go from my personal experiences. at Wickham, when I signed permanently, I was done 2 years, and then my last year I didn't play. Gaffer had a vision, he wanted something else, which I totally get now. But at the time, I'd come through where I'd always played. I'd never really had competition. I had competition, but I always just used to be the one that would thrive on that competition and play every week. But then, like, to go from playing to not playing, I didn't really handle it well. You know, it's
hard to adjust.
And like I said, I look back on it now, and I made mistakes because I went in there and maybe I didn't conduct myself. I'd gone in there, maybe had an argument with Gareth, who, like I said back at the start, I owed a lot to, that gave me that exposure in the Football League. And it kind of like burnt bridges in that relationship where we were good friends just outside of football, and I kind of like frayed after that year, which is a shame because I said I owed a lot to him and Dobbo, Richard Dobson at the time, and I said I learned from that. And I think you just got to be open to take the criticism as well, because sometimes it's not done out of a bad place, but as a person you just take it that way. Sometimes it just might be the right time for you to move on, and sometimes I think we can forget to take that on board, and we want to go through that. A lot of players want to do that, like a Jamie Carragher, for instance, where you're at one club all the way through your career. Very rarely now that's unlikely to happen. You'll have a 2-year deal, and by the end of your 2 year they'll be change of plans and you'll be out the door. And I said, I think a lot of players now, they don't really understand that. I think they think, well, I'll go to a club and I'll just be here, and you get settled, and like I said, especially if you have kids and stuff like that and you're settled in a place, it's really hard to let go, which I said I've been lucky enough to learn through my career to adapt and take that sort of stuff on board.
So before you made your full-time move to Wickham, you went to current Premier League team, Luton Town.
Yeah, still have a bit of a soft spot for Luton. Like, it's got so many memories for me because when I went there, me and my wife had my first daughter. So I think her first game, she was six weeks old, and she went and went to Kenilworth Road under John Steele. That was another one that was quite lucky.
Another famous non-league manager.
Obviously they got promoted the year before. Like I said, it was quite local. I was living in Barnet at the time, so it was really convenient. Straight up the M1, it was half an hour.
Did you not fancy a move to Barnet at that point, no?
Never really materialised. Like, I remember playing against like Edgar Davids at Barnet when he had the number 1 shirt.
Yeah.
Oh, this was craziness. And I was, cause we was at the game when they got their last game at Underhill and they got sent down, and they beat us. We missed a penalty.
Then they went to Beehive after.
Yeah, and like I said, it was crazy playing against him because he's like won Champions Leagues and that, and then like he's gone to Barnet as playing manager wearing a number 1 jersey. Didn't really.
What was that about, the number 1? Why?
Because he was number 1.
Correct.
Is that
he was like, everything was about him, wasn't it?
As it rightly should be, but to be fair, I felt
but I
somebody
think
that big coming into a club of that stature.
Yeah, but I can't. I think more of it was more of an ego boost than anything, rather than anything for the club. Maybe I'm talking out of turn there, but that's how it seemed to come across with it all. But I said. So
who did you play with at Luton at that point?
So I had Mark Tyler in goal, Steve McNulty.
Oh yeah,
half, yeah, because Steve McNulty.
See that really big lad?
Yeah, but like
class though, isn't he?
Yeah, like I remember because he played right.
Was he a Scouse or some Northerner in he or something?
Yeah,
up north?
So he played right centre half. I played right back, and he used to hate me going forward. This when I was young. Well, I would have been 2014, so it would have been what 21, 22. So I used to be like more roared in full back at the time as you were, and he used to tell me off for going forward because obviously he was getting on a bit and didn't want to have to run down the wing with some wingers.
Was you striker Ballantymer at the time?
Yeah, so
class him as well.
Yeah, but I played with Pelly. So
Jesus,
Pelly Panzu's still there now. That's gone through, and like I said, watching him the other week in the playoff final, and I'm still good friends with CEO Gary Sweet, and I messaged him after the semi-final win at Sunderland, and after the game, it's just like, well, they deserve from where that club was to where they are now is fantastic, and what they've been through. I said it still has a soft spot for me. I enjoyed my time there. Special memories in terms of like my daughter coming round, and yeah, it was great. And that Kenilworth Road, unlike no other place, is such a...
Yeah, I went there for Luton Leeds before because I'm a Leeds fan.
Yeah.
And it's an experience, isn't it?
I've been lucky enough to... obviously playing, and I've gone back since leaving. I've gone back a few times to watch games, and I've sat like within the Luton bit, and also gone when I was at Wickham and Northampton, and been in the away bits. If I've not been in the squad, I've been injured. Like I said, I've experienced both of it, but I think that's what makes football great. You know, I think these grounds like that have character, and like I said, some teams are going to struggle going there next season. Like, I'm a massive Arsenal fan, and Arsenal fans have got them on a Tuesday night, and I'm like, do you know what?
That ain't going to be pleasant for them.
Yeah, I fancy Luton here, and this is me, a boyhood Arsenal fan that would never usually say word against my team, but like I said, such a soft spot, and
it's nice to see him back up there, because not so long ago they were a championship side, a stalwart championship.
Yeah,
side
that's like I
point.
said. I think they said the fairy tale dream for them, really. Like I said, where they were from where they ended up with everything, the administration, going into non-league, and then like I said, slowly building up, and like I said, based on the season, it's just gone. Thoroughly deserved to be up there. It's not like they finished sixth in last place in the playoffs and got through. They finished third. They finished quite a few points ahead of everyone else, and went through and done the job on Sunderland, a very good side, and to go into the final.
Well, what I'm saying, they weren't even that far away last season, were they? Season before. I mean,
slowly been building, but never come away with what's made them their personality, their identity. They've not gone and spent crazy money in the Championship, and I'm sure they won't go crazy in the Premier League. They'll stick to where they are, but I said they just deserve all the credit they've got for it.
How much chance to give them staying up?
I would love them to stay up. Like I said, I love the club, and it's a tough one because, like I said, many teams aren't going to want to come to Kenilworth Road and try and play on that small condensed pitch, and they'll do some teams over. And like I said, I'm really looking forward to where this season takes them, and hope they just enjoy every moment of it. And so come May next year, see where they finish. So
before we go on to your permanent move to Wickham, let's just touch a couple of things on QPR, because we're intrigued by a couple of players that we want to know some bits about. Yeah, so George, who's the first one?
Yeah, so I'll write down, obviously Adel Tarab, obviously you see it all over the internet, you know, the streets don't forget him, whatever it is that's saying, but is he good as everyone makes out?
Hands down, the best player I've ever played with.
Both feet?
He was a joke. He was incredible.
Because you've seen some of the videos where like they do like the Maradona thing where they smash the ball as hard as they can in the air, and it's like out of 10, and he literally just stops it dead on the floor. It was just
a big game to Adel. Everything was just. I remember there was that famous interview, I think, and he said, it's not about scoring goals for me, it's about not how many nutmegs I can get in a game. And that's exactly how he was. I have seen him, so there was a lad in our 18s, and we used to go on a Friday and play against the first team, ready again, and he's gone to smash him, and I've seen Adel nutmeg him while he's side tackling someone. So he's gone for the side tackle, he's put it for his legs, and just walked off the other side. But Adele's not one to let you forget it, so we'll train, and then he'll come up and go, got you today, didn't I? But everyone loved Adel.
But that's not what you want to smash him, because it'd make me want to smash him.
Yeah, it makes you, but you just got to accept that Adele's Adel, and he was. I think it shows because from QPR, where did he go? Did he go to AC Milan, and
he got about, didn't he?
Do you know what I mean? Like the clubs he was going to and stuff like that. Like he was just an incredible player, and especially that year we got promoted to the Premier League the first time. He drove that. He was. I think we had players like Sean Derry and people like that, Alejandro falling around him, where they perhaps might have done the ugly side for him, but they just let Warnock just got the best out of him and just give him that love that Adel needed. He definitely one of the players that needed a cuddle and boosting his ego, maybe stroking the ego. But wow, what a player, what a talent he was, and yeah, I think he definitely could have gone a lot higher than maybe what he's done.
Why do you think he didn't? What was the issue?
I think maybe, like I said, it was just maybe that mentality issue. I think maybe because he was that good, he believed he was that good, if that makes sense, and he just
thought he was Ronaldo before he had time to
prove it. Didn't really, because I think Harry Redknapp once said that he was one of the best players that he's seen, but like I said, he never really played for Tottenham, and like I said, he just never, maybe that, like I said, that attitude
just don't push on, does he?
Yeah, it's just like once he gets to, I think he was a bit like that big fish in that small pond, so he was that player that we had that was maybe the centre of attention.
And
he enjoyed that.
Everywhere?
Maybe if he had gone to a bigger club where he wasn't that player, he might not have been Adel, if that makes sense. So maybe that was the issue. But
he's the big star for his nation, isn't he, when he plays in like African Cup of Nations and all that stuff?
He can't, like I said...
Playing at World Cup? It's Morocco, isn't he?
Yeah, can't.
I don't think... I know they'd done alright, didn't they? But
I'm sure he definitely played in the African Cup of Nations, and he was like the best player there for whatever.
That's what I'm saying. But he had the. But how many times have we heard stories where you go, he had the talent and the technical side of it, but just
we were talking about Ravel Morrison the other week, weren't we?
That's it. There's just that other side to it. Like I'd put him in with like people like Mario Balotelli, where they technically
still playing
brilliant, but there's just that side to them where
Played for Servette in Switzerland.
Is he?
That's it.
Crazy,
Yeah.
isn't it?
It's
Is
mad.
he? So Adil Tarabi's still playing in Dubai.
But yeah, but that's where football's going now, isn't it? I think, where, like you said, them countries where
Money talks.
money talks, unfortunately. But like I said, if you get that
We are
opportunity,
available for a podcast in Dubai, aren't we, Jordan? If money talks, yeah. Just touching back onto obviously the Premier League season, with the money coming in at that point, wealth of players coming in from here, there, and everywhere. Big Premier League players. What was it like looking around the dressing room at certain players?
It was weird because I'd come out of the 18 dressing room, and you know when you get into that first team dressing room, and I've left me mates behind and walked in, and there was people like Ji-sung Park and
Were they all individuals as well? As in, like, kept themselves to themselves rather than being a big team? Is that why it didn't quite work out?
maybe quite possibly, like I said, it was.
So there's some egos there, surely.
Yeah,
World
like I
Cup
said,
winners,
we had
internationals.
Julio Cesar in goal and people like that. Like I said, I walked in and I remember I had Joey Barton to my right and Rio Ferdinand to my left, and I was in between them, and I was thinking, Premier League winner. I'm like, oh my god!
And then you looked in front of you and you got Clint Hill and you thought you'd be alright, yeah?
Yeah, well, like I said, I was one of them ones that just kept my head down and just didn't really do much talking in there. If anything, I tried not to be in there as much as I could because, like I said, I felt a bit awkward, and like I said, but wow, to be in the room with some of them, like I said, Ji-sung Park, we went.
Weren't they starting like strikers massively, like big players
We
as
had
well?
dribbles. We had Loic Remy when he came. He was
Jeez,
unbelievable.
the one from Chelsea.
He was unbelievable when he came. I still remember that goal he scored at home, and he's like hit a wobbler from about 30 yards in the top corner.
Yeah, I remember
Do you remember that one? And it's like, I said to look around that change room, and like Bobby Zamora and made like Premier League legends, Andrew Johnson, like
The Palace one.
yeah.
See, his class is overshadowed because
Yeah.
of the players that are around at the time.
But like even like I shared a change room with Jermaine Genius and stuff like that. Like these players that have got wealth of Premier League experience, and there's just me with my 1 and 2 games. Like I said, it was a crazy. Like I said, the money we got by coming into the Premier League helped with that definitely. And
Obviously, you're still in touch with all them big boy players right now. Then, yeah.
Like I said, this is probably one of my biggest regrets in football that I didn't. Like I said, I was maybe coming from my upbringing. I was quite reserved, quite.
Not one of the lads.
Yeah, I wasn't. I still probably struggle to that day now. Like, so I didn't really put myself out there. Like I said, I'd rather have been in the gym or been out training, which I said I should have realistically mingled. Like, and like I said, made a bigger bond. Like I said, to be part, still have that relationship with people. But yeah, like I said, it was some good time. I remember we went with QBR went to Malaysia for pre-season. And
Oh, because of the sponsor.
yeah, and we had Ji-sung Park, and he was massive, and they had to have security on his door 24/7 because people were just there trying to get to him. And, like, it was a different world. It was crazy.
And there's you sticking your head out the window. Come
I
on,
was like,
come on.
I get
come
to
on.
walk around and train with him every day.
Just trying to get him to go for dinner.
Yeah, that's it. It was brilliant. But like I said, them experiences, like you look fondly back on it, and it's just like, wow, to be part of that was brilliant. But like I said,
Obviously, that's loads of good players. Let's look at their list of managers. They've had quite a few decent managers in hindsight, but didn't really cut it there, did they?
yeah, I went through the Pretoria Eccleston era where we went through quite a lot of managers quite constantly, and
Because you had the wheeler dealer Harry Redknapp, didn't you?
yeah, I
But
got
don't call him that,
Yeah,
though.
well, I got on. Like I said, I enjoyed it. Most managers I worked with, like, we got to that point when their managers were coming in. Though I spent most of my season on loan, but Harry played me in another Premier League game, so comes round to my Anfield, my game playing away at Anfield. I was training with the boys on the Friday, and Harry called me over. He was like, "Have you ever played in Liverpool?" No, Gaffer, I haven't. Well, he's starting tomorrow. I'm thinking, okay, right. Didn't sleep that night, obviously, as you do, because you think, right, I'm playing at Anfield tomorrow.
Please say you didn't tap the bloody "This is Anfield" sign.
No, I didn't. No.
Thank goodness.
Do you know what? I can't remember most of it, but like I said,
No, but didn't
Weghorst.
Yeah, he touched the
yeah,
sign,
control
didn't he?
for it, yeah. And I think I just, like I said, but I was quite like it was Jamie Carragher's last game, so like the atmosphere was incredible. And I saw a video the other day online about when they were singing "You Never Walk Alone." I was like, oh my god, I was there listening to that live, and it was fantastic. But like, I come up against, so I had Jose Enrique at left,
The one from Newcastle.
left back, and Jordan Ibe left wing. Coutinho scored. We lost 1-0. Coutinho was the one that scored. Daniel Sturridge, like Skirtle.
Easy day at the
Pereira.
office for you then, yeah?
Oh, I loved every minute of it. Like I said, in the atmosphere. Jamie Carragher's nearly scored a 45-yard screamer.
Did you?
He played full 90. He cramped up after about 50. trying to run with Jordan Ives down the wing, but I said
Skirtle, what a defender he was. I bet he looked scary, didn't he?
Old school. But I'm seeming how I'm not the biggest, but like you're going into this environment and they're all 6 foot flat. You're just looking up to them like, please don't hurt me. But like I said, I've been lucky enough where it's taken me to some places. But yeah, Mark Hughes, out of them, when I look at my QPR with Warnock, Redknapp, Mark Hughes I think was my best one because he'd done a lot with me. I think that's where I've started getting that.
That surprises me a lot because all the interviews and stuff I've seen about him say that he's not a very nice guy.
No, see, I don't know if... I think maybe he just...
took a shine to
you. Maybe because I got more of that first team exposure, so... No, like when you go in the first team and they take that one extra player in case there's illness, I was always that one extra, so it took me to places and on trips, and like I said, I went abroad, first team training camps, like mid-season training camps and stuff like that with him, and really put a lot of time and effort into myself, and I said I learned a lot. Never ever played under him, which was a shame, which I'm guessing if I maybe had a chance to, I might have done, but probably for me, like I said. But he did this thing on a Friday where we always used to do stuff, players, games, so like I must have been like the 18s and myself, we were playing, and he still had it. He used to just like...
Sounds like Owen Coyle at Bolton. You heard the stories about him?
They still you never lose it. Like he was playing against us and putting things, volleys in top corners, stuff like that. But I think there was that video when he was at Man City, wasn't there, and he was doing a shooting drill, and he's
like when he was trying to show that Fred fella up front how to do it.
Yeah, and he just banged it in top corner, like. But like I said, it worked under some great managers, and hopefully little parts of myself come out in that now. I've got this new role with the Diamonds, and we'll just see.
So we've got 2 questions left about the Prem, I reckon. Do you want us to put down best player you've seen in the Premiership? Or live, like when you've been playing there, or when you've been in a squad there?
I don't know. It's like I said, probably that Anfield game, like I said, playing against Coutinho, that I think went on from there to Barcelona. Just thinking, wow, to share a pitch, or myself maybe coming up as a defender towards the end of my career, watching, like I said, Jamie Redknapp, Jamie Carragher, people like that old school defenders where they just put their body on the line. As I said, but for me, I've watched being an Arsenal fan, you watch the Premier League your whole life, and there's some players that you wish you had the chance, like for me, Thierry Henry, people like that, Tony Adams.
We don't like him on this podcast. Yeah. I'm an Ireland fan, so we don't like Thierry Henry.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? Yeah, but like I said, there's so many players when you look back and you go, I wish I had that chance, but yeah, for hindsight, I wish I had more chance to have that exposure in the Premier League. I had the 2 appearances, which...
That's 2 more than either of us have got, mate.
It was fantastic to get them chances, but like I said, once you had that little taste, you wish you had a bit more.
100%. How did the experience of being around Premier League squads and stuff compare to the experience in the Football League, for example?
I think it becomes a bit more in terms of like it's more like higher you go up, more like a game of chess, where it's like everything's done certain, and that one person that breaks that cycle, you get punished. And I think for me, it was just like I said, you had to be more aware of yourself and your own standards, because you're playing with Premier League players that effectively, if you play with on a Saturday, will punish you if you make a mistake, whereas probably in the Football League, if you make a mistake, especially down League 1 or 2, you probably get away with it because no offence, but the quality is probably not as good. And like I said, so I think for myself, it was just about just trying to keep my standards high, and I said I've taken that through my whole career, just trying to get to myself to a level where I'm at that moment in time, which would be that different now to where when I was younger, but just trying to maintain them levels and just them standards, like I said, and that's pretty much it.
I mean, in terms of sort of the organisation and training, is it a lot more intense in the Prem?
Yeah, like I said, it is a lot more intense. I think we see in terms of like stats now are massive, and you're seeing how much players are covering a game, and they always say that you have more with the ball, you do less running, but then you think of players running 14k with the ball, and it's crazy numbers. But like I said, I think the pace, the athleticism of the players in the Prem is a lot different, and like I said, you've got to be willing to keep up and manage to keep up. But that probably comes in being in that environment. If you're in that environment every day, you just get used to it and becomes the norm, I guess, like I said. And in terms of standards, like I said, you've got to get them standards keep high, because you've got good players, and one effective, you don't want to show yourself up, you want to make sure that you show you deserve to be there and belong there, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
following your loan at Luton, then that's when you signed for Wickham full time on permanent. I was doing a bit of research on it. Undisclosed fee. How much was it? Can you tell us?
Just get straight to the point, Jordan.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think it was like fee. I think it was more compensation from leaving, as you do. But it was a toss up.
Were you under an age at that point?
Yeah, I think it's.
Oh, so it's like 20 or 30 grand or something silly.
But I think it might, because I come up from 11. So it's so much every year, isn't it? You're in the academy, so coming up from 11, I think it might have been a bit more. But yeah, it was weird because I was playing really good football at the time because I went on loan at the start of the season, and I think I signed permanent in January, but I was having a good season. The gaffer put me right wing and I scored a few goals. And I remember, Wickham said, we want to sign you permanently. But I was like, buzzing, 3 years, great. And then day before the end of the transfer, the day before I signed, I got a call from my agent. It was like, hi, just a quick one. I know everything's been done with Wickham and sorted, but we've had Wigan on the phone and they want to sign you permanently as well. Same terms, 3-year deal. I was like, only catch is you've got an hour to decide, otherwise they're going to move on. I was like, how can I make a decision in an hour?
A life-changing decision.
But this is why it came to that point. And
where were you living at the time?
So we just bought a house up in Northampton. So I've had my youngest and my eldest, and we had. So I bought my house in November, and this was the first couple of weeks of January. I was like, I can't do that. So I was like, no. Right, if I had maybe a few more days, I might have swung, because we was in the playoffs in League 2, and they were just outside the playoffs in League 1. So I was like, all goes well, could get promoted. So I turned it down and I signed for Wickham, and then obviously went through that, and then Wigan went on and got promoted, and we didn't.
Okay. So Paul Jewell, the manager at Wigan.
Yeah, so we look at it wasn't Jewell when I was there. It was an ex-player. Was it Stubbs, mate? Stubbs, I think it was.
Oh, okay.
Someone like that, and it wasn't the manager that wanted to sign me. It was the director of football. So he'd seen me play, and then he wanted to. So that was another thing. I was like, getting there, a manager doesn't really know me or doesn't like me, so it just seemed a big risk for the time frame that I had to decide. But like I said, I signed for Wickham, and
looking back, would you have made the same decision, do you think?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Hindsight's a little thing, and if we talk about regrets, that could have been one possibly, because like I said, if I'd gone, they got promoted to the champ, and my career could have taken a whole different direction. Do you know what I mean? But I said, I think that just comes down to the way I was brought up, and where I was maybe not in that position where I'd like to take risks, and it just seemed like a massive risk for myself. And I think like now I'm happy to be comfortable where I am, and I said I just moved into my new house and was buzzing with that, and I was playing really good football at Wickham anyways, and it didn't seem right to kind of leave at the time. And I said I went on that season, and the season after that I broke my leg, and that kind of faulted anything. And
was that early doors in the season?
It was kind of same thing. So started the season, and I was going back to right back, and I said I was playing really good form, and my agent was in. He was like, "There's some clubs interested." I was like, brilliant. Scored Crewe. We 2-1 down to Crewe on a Tuesday night, and I scored to make it 2-2, and then Nathan Tyson scored to make it 3-2 in the last seconds. And we won. I was buzzing, and I was like, really good football.
But Dario Grady took that one well.
Yeah, and so we won, and then we come off, and then the Thursday went into training. And you know that I don't know, managers got this thing where it's like during training they'll pick on one team, and like all the decisions will go against that one team for that session. And this was what's going on. I lost my head. I look back and I regret everything. Lost my head, and the ball bounced. No one within a 20-yard radius of me. And I thought, I'm going to smash this ball as far as I can. So I slid to smash it, but my foot's got stuck in the ground. So it's like, obviously, it was like, obviously I broke my leg, and I can remember the first initial thought, like the pain was so, heard it, and the pain was instant. And I went through all these emotions. Like I remember our fitness coach ran over to me and was like, "You'll be alright," and I was punching his arm. And then I went from that to crying and stuff like this, and then I said, look back on it now, I'm like, what a donut I am, because I lost my head because I wasn't winning a game. This is where that winning mentality comes, and we weren't winning that game. I wanted to smash the ball away in temper, and I spent so that was early October. So early October, went through, and then played late April. So come back, and so I got back. I remember I got trained for ages, and the gaffer was like, you're not ready. First game I was back on the bench, our right back got injured at Notts County away, and they were pushing us for automatics, and was chucked on with about half an hour left. Had no lungs after that.
Was that Sven's Notts County at that point?
No, it was... I can't remember whose Notts County it was. Not really sure.
Another Leeds legend
Might
played
have
for them,
been...
mate. Alan Smith played at Notts County for a bit.
I don't know. No, RD was the year after, because they tried to sign me when I wasn't playing in my final year. But yeah, at the time, the Wickham move seemed right, and like I said, after that, with the leg break, and I think what happened there was they obviously had to get someone in to replace me, and I think they probably saw that maybe the grass was greener with me being out, and the new players had come in and done so well.
Who did they bring in?
Brought in Jason McCarthy, so worked with him before, and he went out on loan. Well, he came to us on loan and went back, and then I played, and I said, and he came back when I was injured, and they signed him at the start of the season, and then like I said, I didn't get looking after that, and like I said, relationships with Gareth kind of frayed after that. In that third year, had the option to go to Notts County, but they were bottom of the Football League, and I was so close. I agreed to go on loan till the end of the year, so I was going to terminate the Wickham contract and go and just play for the rest of the season because I hadn't played. But I was like being advised from like, obviously to have a relegation on your CV is not great and stuff like this, so I was kind of really talked out of it. But it kind of set me up on a downfall after that, because I hadn't played that year and I went out of contract, and Wickham ultimately released me that year.
What's it like being a released player waiting for that phone call? It must be horrible.
Well, it didn't come. I thought I've played League 1, League 2, play Premier League. Surely I'll walk into a club, and I had like clubs going, yeah, we're interested, and then you run your phone to your agent like, come on. But it was different for me because would have been 23, 24. I had a mortgage, kids, wife, family to support. So you know your money stops in June.
And
so
no plan B?
I never had a plan B. But this is where I think if I come back to my role, what I'm doing now at Peterborough, taking my experiences and ensuring that these young players have that. Didn't have that plan B, so then the money stopped. The house, I had savings and stuff like that, and then you burn through that, and I managed. So I was in Northampton, and I text Keith Curl on a whim, just like, can I come in the train? I was like, yeah, come in the train. And luckily, while I was training, the right back Reece Johnson got injured and was out till the new year, and Keith gave me a deal till December, and just to like fill that void, and then just didn't really look back. But out of all the deals I've had, I love that short one, because like I think we can see it. You know, like when a player gets a 3-4 year deal, their performances kind of drop from when they were on a 1 year deal. I think it's where that security.
It's that fire under your belly, doesn't it?
Yeah, but where I was playing like so I went in October and had till December. I was like, right, I've got to play well every game to try and get a new one, and I went in and done really well, and that was COVID year, wasn't it? It was 2020, and everything stopped in. So I got to December, got that deal to the end of the season, and it all stopped. And we had COVID, and
were you still getting paid by the club at that point?
We all were furloughed. So because we weren't working, the club furloughed us, which was the right decision, quite funny, because the clubs were struggling. I think a lot of clubs were struggling with nothing, and we obviously we were lucky because we stayed in the playoffs by. It was weird because we were in the playoffs when we left, but we had a hard running. We had to play all the teams around us, and we was in a bad run of form. We'd just lost to Swindon 1-0 before lockdown. And if I'm looking at it, I don't think we would have made the playoffs if we had carried on playing the season, if that makes sense, the way we were in. Was
it the PPG? Did it go points?
Yeah, so we beat Port Vale by a point or something, and so everyone had to agree to. So I think they agreed because in terms of like they couldn't afford to get the game back on. So it was like playoffs, brilliant. And I nearly didn't turn up for the playoffs because my wife was on the most vulnerable list in terms of the COVID shielding. So we were shielding. I weren't going out, we were getting food delivered to the house and stuff like that. And he came back, and obviously we would come back and we was going to play a game, and I was like, I can't play, I can't go, and it doesn't make sense to risk everything to go and play a game of football. So I remember speaking to Keith Curl and my agent and the club, and they were fantastic, and it was like, look, this is what we'll do. We'll test everyone before you come back. So I was like, can I be the first one to get tested? So I'm not around people and blah, blah, blah. So yeah. Went in, got tested, come back, one person's got COVID. Who was that? The physio, who was doing all our testing. So I was like, I don't think I can do this. Luckily, nothing come of it, and we didn't get it. And like I said, we went in and we trained at the ground, and each player had a square, a 2 metre square along the side of the pitch where we had to put our stuff in, and we weren't allowed to mingle. And it kind of, there's a sense of security where everyone was tested and no one had it, kind of got in. And like I said, that playoff experience was my first playoff experience, but it was one you'd never forget, to go in and have no fans.
Yeah, because we've not spoken to any players about the time during COVID of like pro players of what it must have been like.
I think a lot of people thrived on it because there was not that external pressure of fans.
Was it more like an old school resi game?
Yeah, it was in a way, but I think it showed some of the results you had. Like there was 6-5s and stuff like that, because that pressure of fans and being away from home was different. Like you go to places that we went to Sunderland in one of the years where it was just still shut, and we nearly beat them. Like we were a couple of minutes away from beating Sunderland and stuff like that. You think if that was
full, that was a daunting place to go in.
That's what I'm saying. That pressure from it would come off. But we played obviously Cheltenham in the first leg, and they beat us 2-0, and it was a bit of a sombering experience. A bit like all that hard work and all that risk to be knocked out. But to be fair to Keith Curl, he rallied us, and we kind of. He had us in the... Because we were testing, we were on different things, so we sat in and we watched the video, and he showed us when Arsenal had to go to Anfield and win 2-0 to win the league. He was like, it's possible, anything's possible. And he really got it into us that we could go there and beat them. And so we went to the second leg knowing that they hadn't conceded more than 4 goals there all season, something like that, and hadn't lost. They've got a better home record than most of the Premier League clubs.
Jeez.
So it was a daunting task, and we'd all warmed up and we was all fired up as it was. And the news came through that Exeter had beaten Colchester in the other game, and there were some players not in the squad for Cheltenham shouting down. It was like, "Oh lads, we've got Exeter in the final when we get there." And we were walking into the tunnel to get ready for the game at this point, and we was like, "Yeah," I was like, "Hold up a minute, these lot think they've won." And it gave us that extra something, and I think that performance just shows. Like we scored early, and then I think they were gone. They just didn't know how to handle us.
I remember watching it on telly on Sky. I remember. I think Jacko watched it with me. We were watching it anyway, and Jacko went, "Oh, we're 2-0 down right now. We're alright." And then I remember that early goal, and then here we go.
Yeah, Verdane scored, and he missed a chance just after to make it 2-2. We could have been after 10 minutes. We could have back on level terms, and later.
Well, I if I remember rightly, it was just chance after chance. It was just bombarding the goal.
We had them on the ropes, and it all came from the belief that Keith Cole gave us. But that little comment before the game, it really hit some of the boys. I remember I was like, "Hold up a minute! Like, how dare you say that?" kind of thing. It was
foregone conclusion.
I didn't say that. I'm just trying not to swear for the podcast, but I thought something else, and I was like,
we're really knitting with the swearing as well. If you don't notice,
so like I said, it was like to think that they were already done it, and there was 90 minutes to play, and I said we just absolutely peppered them. We had them on the ropes. If it was a boxer, the towel would have been thrown in and everything like. And then we got that lucky second goal where Tozer's headed it onto Callum Morton's face, and it's gone in. And then it was 2-2, and we just knew we was going to win. And I don't know why, but for the third goal, when the player missed it, I just thought, right, I'm going to run for this ball. I don't know why, I was like 20 yards away, and he just left it for each other. And I managed to get there first, and it's hit me, hit the keeper, and I thought, it's going in. Hit the ground, it spun, hit the post, and then Callum Morton tapped it in, but it was the party, like, I say party, but the atmosphere in the change room after that was incredible. Like, I've got videos on my phone. I watch them back, and you just laugh and giggle. Where we're all just going mental in that. I mean, it was.
Was it the fact that what was the feeling like after? Because we lost at 6 didn't you?
Yeah.
After that 2-0 defeat, like what was the change room like after that?
Like I said, I think it was pretty sombre because, like I said, we've built that. It was like a 2-week build up to the game, 2-week mini pre-season, and to lose 2-0. And if I'm being honest, we missed the penalty, didn't we? And it was quite a convincing, apart from that, quite convincing 2-0 for them. So I said a lot of the players. There was always, like I said, 2-0 is a dangerous scoreline, but it was a little part of us maybe that thought it was done. But like I said, that's where it comes back to Keith Curl and his staff. They were fantastic. They never, ever let us lose faith. And like I said, we had that initial belief, but then the way them boys conducted themselves before the game, the lads in the stadium at Cheltenham, like it just gave you that final spur on really. And like I said, if I look back at that playoff experience, I enjoyed that game more than I enjoyed the final, because the final we obviously went on and beat Exeter 4-0 and it was a great result from us, which I think we took from that second leg game. But that second leg game, if I watch it back now, I only watch that game rather than the final, which is really weird because you played the playoff final at Wembley, which was a weird experience. The only time I played at Wembley wasn't a single fan in there, was cardboard cutouts, and like I said, it was...
It's bad,
Cardboard cutouts, that was...
I've still, to be fair, I had my 2 daughters on there, and we've still got ours, and they got them out of the cupboard the other day, and even just looking how much they've changed in it, what was it, 22 and
2020.
Yeah, it's mad.
What was it like celebrating with Sean McWilliams, being a local lad and all that?
Oh, I love it. He's got such talent. Like
See, back in the day, that's my little claim to fame. So when he got released from, I think it was Villa, or he got released from an academy, and he was playing part football where we lived. And me and another coach, we were just like playing games with him on Saturday, and we were like, Jesus Christ, this kid's good. And then literally 3 or 4 years later, he signed on to Cobblers.
Yeah, there was like my last season, there was rumours of him going higher, but I don't see why he hasn't. I think he's got
somebody. When it's somebody in the Championship was looking at him.
Yeah, I can't remember the team, but there was rumours because the boys were taking the mickey out of him because he was obviously coming out of contract as well. But I said I'm surprised he hasn't gone higher because he's got the talent. Like,
didn't he get an injury? Did he have a bad injury?
Yeah, he did his knee in the League One season, so the season after we got promoted, he did.
Humble kid though, isn't he?
Very humble kid, hard working lad, and like I said, when he's fully fit, he's one of the best holding midfielders in the league. And I think he's not had the greatest season this year in terms of injuries again, but I said he's definitely got the ability to go higher.
But for local kids to see somebody from St James, which is like a massive area of Northampton, to see where you can go from being released from a big time academy, coming to the Cobblers and pushing on.
That's it. It's just like I said, it's dealing with them upsets, isn't it? When you have that knock back in life, it's just how you conduct yourself. And like I say, he's done that fantastically. He's taken that. He's gone back to playing park football, which probably gave him that love of the game again. And then he stepped on again, which I said I'm sure he's going to do again at some point in his career.
Just sorry, before we move on from the playoffs, obviously playing at Wembley, obviously is a massive thing. How sort of did it help the nerves with there being no fans there?
You say that, but I was nervous before because in the build up to the game, we was going through Exeter and Keith Curl's called me and he's gone, I've got one job for you. Okay, you're marking Randall Williams. Okay, it's fine. You stop him, we win this game. A lot of pressure. And I'm,
It's a fair point though, isn't it?
I was like 27, 28 at the time.
I'll put, just before you touch on it, I'll put a message on Twitter, just any questions for you.
And that was one of them.
Ryan Eldridge, he said, have you let Randall Williams out your pocket?
Do you know what, right? I look back at it now and I'm like, I was quite lucky because I played with Randall Wickham. So he's my last year.
You know all his little quirks.
But he was obviously playing and I weren't, so we were against each other most of the day. But for me, I love players that want to run me because I was quick. I could keep up with most players, but that's how Randall does things. So he wants to run at people, he wants to knock the ball and run. So I was thriving off that. But like I said, when Keith Curl said to me, you mark him, you do your job, we win this game, and it's a bit like, okay, easy. But on the day, like I said, the build up and going to the coach, to go on the coach there, I was nervous as hell. When I said to me, I'm really nervous about this, I was like, there's a lot of pressure. I was like 28 and played a lot of games, but that one comment's just put a lot of pressure on me. And I don't know if it, like I said, it was the playoffs, and I was go walking out for the warm up. Like I said, it's a real surreal experience because you expect it to be full and it wasn't, and maybe that helped in a way. But I was nervous before, nervous in the warm up, but then when the game comes, something just go into autopilot. And I remember the first thing he got the better of me, so I'm just going to get tight every time. The ball came to him and he's kind of like got tight and he's let it go through his legs. He's run the other side and he's got the ball. Luckily, my centre half's taken one for the team, has taken him out early. Refs let it go and I'm like, right, that's your warning. Need to stay. And after that, I kind of just got to grips with the game, and like I said, we scored 2 goals before half time, and falsely for Exeter, they've been in that position where they've been in the final a few times and lost. So I think that belief in them just evaporated, and we just stepped on. And
how good was Callum Morton as well?
I think his energy just galvanised him, and then he just had a knack of popping up in the right place at the right time for us that year. I wish he'd stayed on after, because I think he went to Lincoln and got injured and then didn't really play, but I think if he stayed with us he would have...
Was that the Horsefowl season, the centre right?
Yeah.
Geezer went to Stockport.
Yeah, Fraser, what character. But yeah, he just...
Oh, hang on a minute, what a character. That suggests to me that there's a little bit more to that comment.
No, it's just a character, but he was a good lad in the change room, but like one of these crazy ones, I had no
Were all the
problem
comments
with
on Insta and all the socials when he moved, and all the lads giving him like little money symbols, was that all warranted? Yeah,
it could have been. Yeah, I don't know what he was getting either way, but we had that conversation, didn't we, at the start with the way football's going now. You got to chase it sometimes, haven't you? And
the careers are very short, aren't they?
That's the thing, but it comes down to anything, because I sit here and people go, "Oh, he's only going for the money," but that's the same as any profession, isn't it? If you're doing one job and someone offers you this amount and another company offers you 5-10 grand a year more, you're obviously going to choose that.
Of course.
But I don't see why football's in a different sense where we can't. But yeah. I think
we were on a bit of an argument at work today about it. There's a lad there, and I don't know what he does for fun, because he says he can't stand football, but he was
don't trust him.
You
can't trust anyone that don't like football, mate.
They get paid too much for this. I said, we were basically saying, look at it, if someone's willing to invest that much money into a player, surely that's down to them.
It's not the player's fault of taking the money, is it?
It's not the player's.
You're not going to look a gift horse in the mouth, are you?
That's the thing. I think where it goes is as a fan, you want a player to be loyal, but as a player, it sounds harsh in a way, but that loyalty may be not the same for yourself as it is for the fan, if that makes sense. That's your boy club, and that's who you support and that's who you want to do well. But for the player, like I said, it's a career, so it's where he might have gone out of contract in that summer and that's the only club that's offered him it, and that's why he's there. Or like I said, it might be some people I've known that have used clubs as stepping stones to go on something else. So for a footballer, it is a job first mainly, and like I said, you can use it to enhance your career and add to that CV in a way. So
yeah,
like I said, it's football. It's football and how football is now.
Did you get a lot of fans text you or message you on socials after, just thanking you for your time there? Because I've noticed that a lot with Cobblers fans, they do that.
It was really good. Obviously, I left and I put it out on my socials, and like I said, a lot of people were very grateful, especially like I said, that playoff season when you help a team get to a trophy or a promotion. It's fantastic, and they never forget you for that. I drive past the stadium now sometimes, and the picture from us from that is still up on the wall there, and like I said, you're part of history and it's fantastic. Said I never say anything bad, ill of.
You've probably done them a little bit dirty going to a local rival, though, in Diamonds, because there's a bit of history there back in the day when they were both Football League teams.
The thing is, like I said, for me it was just, like I said, it was that I needed that release in my life, and at the time that was the one. And like I said, I've went to Bedford before, that didn't quite work out in terms of where they were and how I was maybe, but yeah.
Is there a big rivalry between the two clubs in Bedford? So obviously Royal Bedford and Bedford Town. Is it Bedford Town? They've changed their name a couple of times.
For me, I weren't there. I was only there a couple of months. I think I weren't there long enough to really get that gist of it. But like I said, there was more of a rivalry between Bedford and Diamonds when I went, because obviously Bedford beat Diamonds Boxing Day 4-5-0 away, and when I went back to Diamonds, I wasn't there for that game, and it was a bit like, right, we owe these one, and think that's what made that victory at Hayden Road a bit more special for the Diamonds fans, because it was a bit like, we give you one back, and like I said, it was.
That's my favourite part of football, when you beat a rival. There's just
it is.
nothing better than the buzzer beating a rival.
Yeah, like I said, because you do get that build up before you know what it means to like the fans and stuff, like I said, especially when you're in a hostile atmosphere, especially away from home or something. And like I said, you do feel it in the build up, and you're reminded of it in the build up. But I said that's where it's important just to play the game, not the occasion, and don't get swept up in that. But like I said, when it comes to that final whistle, when you've beaten them, and you hear that
best feeling
and then,
ever.
You can't help but go online and look, and then like I said, when you're seeing the fans buzzing and they're giving a bit of stick to the other fans, you just like, oh, I helped create these memories, like I said, that people are going to remember in years to come. But
so just touching back on the Cobblers there, I just wanted to ask one more thing. You finished your time up under Brady, didn't you? What do you think of Brady and what he's doing there now?
I think it shows for itself, doesn't it? He's come in and...
It was a bit cold there as well.
Yeah, Colin Cole. Yeah, I worked with, I loved it all. I enjoyed my time there. Would have liked to have played a bit more than what I did, maybe, but when I got my chance, I broke my ribs at Cambridge away. Wasn't great and stuff like that. And
that's one that takes ages to heal as well.
It was hung up at the back post, and I jumped, and the lads come through, and his knees had caught me, and it was weird because like I knew something went right straight away, and because it was windy, I thought it was just windy, but I just couldn't catch my breath. And I just thought, I can't carry on here, I can't breathe. And it kind of went on for about 5-10 minutes. So I come off and then saw the doctor. He was like, yeah, he broke a couple of ribs. And then day after, I was like black and blue down here. And like I said, it took about 6 weeks just to be able to think. But then, like I said, you've lost that 6 weeks. Then you've got to get fit again. And then it turns up to 8-9. And then
get back into form.
But then we were doing well, weren't we? We was up the top end of the seat. And then obviously... we had that crazy last day where Bristol have
how hard was that to deal with?
I sat on the bench, right, and I had my watch on and I had the score alerts, and it was like 1-0, 2-0. I was like, oh my god. But we went 2-0 up early, didn't we?
I was going to say half time. I remember because I can't remember where I was, but I was
you
checking
were
the scores. No, I weren't, but I was checking the scores, and I remember because my nan lives in Barrow and Cobblers were at Barrow.
Yeah, we were Barrow, yeah.
And we were winning. And I think the other game, it was only 2-0 at half time or something.
Yeah.
I thought, right, we're safe here, we're alright. And then, like you said, I was checking the score and it was.
It just kept going.
Mate, I bought a ticket to watch it on a large screen in the ground with all them 2,000-3,000 other fans that watched it at the ground.
But then
the amount of swear words on that day that were going around that ground was outrageous, believe me.
But it was coming through, like I said, and it was coming in on my watch, and I was relaying it back to everyone. But then I think they were going up, but we had Sammy had a header right at the end. And the keeper saved it. We still had the chance to go up, but with the Gal game finished before, and then we was thinking, they were saying how it was just an expedition game at the end at Bristol. They were just, no team was doing anything. It was just passing. I was just like, wow, what are the odds? Like to win 7-0 on the last game of the season to get yourself promoted was crazy. But we were in cruise. Was it 3-1 in the end, or
3-1? Yeah.
And that goal was the difference. The goal we conceded, but we were cruising. I think we went 3-0 up really early, and then they got on just after or before half time. And
my text for now, get yourself on the pitch.
It was mad because we
streaker, yeah.
Because I was on the bench, and we was going when we went 1-up, 2-0. We were going mad because we thought, we've won. They're not going to win 7-0, no chance. And then we went 3-0 up, and then we conceded, and it was like, right, we're still going. And like I said, it came trickling through, and that was heartbreaking. That was the hardest journey I've had home.
There was lots of talks of footballing conspiracy on that day.
I can understand why. When you look back at it,
it looks then it looked like the QPR and Man City situation.
Their youth team captain was captain of the squad on the day, wasn't he? And that's just crazy.
I think, I'm saying they had 5 16-year-olds in the starting 11 or something like that.
Yeah, well, I've heard a few conspiracy theories, but obviously, unfortunately, we can't prove them. But
so we'll swiftly move on to Ireland under 21s.
Yeah.
Talk to me about it.
So at QPR, I worked under Steve Gallen. Was pretty much my whole time at QPR, who was obviously a big influence on my career going on. And he came in one day and was like, Republic of Ireland have come in and asked, are you eligible to play? I was like, I'm sure my mum's side are Irish and like they're from Limerick and stuff like that. And the issue was my mum's side didn't really speak to family, so that built stumbling block there. And trying to find so I knew I had it, but you had to get like an Irish passport in order to play, so that took ages. But it was friendlies at the start, so I think I went to 17 level and played and got some friendlies in where I didn't need that Irish passport, so I got that sorted eventually. But like I said, I had exposure from there, 19s to 21s, took part in the Euros. We didn't quite make it, unfortunately, but it was one hell of experience, I think.
Was it in your mind to start with your career, like, could you play for England, Ireland, or...?
I knew I could play, but obviously growing up, the dream was always to play for England, like, because I was born in England. I've been born and raised in England my whole life. So, but when it come up, it was just like I was told that it was good to get that international exposure for myself and that my career going forward. So I jumped at the chance, and I said I played with some like Sean Duffy, Jack Grealish. I played with at Ireland level.
Yeah, I don't like Jack Grealish.
Yeah,
or Declan Rice.
Yeah, so it's,
that other turncoat.
Yeah, that's the thing. But I had that luckiness to play with some of them, and some have gone into play. We keep Matt Doherty, who was at Spurs and has gone to Atletico Madrid. I played with a lot of them at my level, which like I said was, looking at myself, was great to be around. It's a bit like when you go back to that Premier League exposure. International was a different thing. We played Germany at home.
Where did you play the games?
Croke Park, was it?
No, we played in Sligo.
Oh, Sligo Rovers. Right?
Yeah, we played there. It was lovely. We stayed in the lovely hotel there. It was like a castle. We all had like single rooms in this.
It's literally right next to the ground, isn't it?
Yeah, and these rooms were like houses. They had like a kitchen, a living room, and a bedroom. It was like mad. It was something like you've never seen. Like I said, we played Germany at home. We beat 6-0 or 6-1. I don't think we had got our own half. It was incredible. But like I said, just to play against some of the players, and I can't remember. There were some big names in that team. Yeah, I saw that. It was funny you mentioned that, because I saw a picture of it come up the other day online, and I saw myself and my little me at 17 level, and I said I look so different like then. But yeah,
I'm presuming you might have had a little bit more hair at the time, just like I did. Yeah?
I didn't know.
Oh, did you not?
No. Growing up, my dad was just like cut it all off, razor,
Staunch
get rid of
skinhead,
it.
yeah.
So he did with us, like all the way through my school life. I had a skinhead, and like I said, when the happy slapping started, I was the main target for that, because I had the bald head and stuff like that. But
I know the feeling, mate. I know.
Yeah, but like I said, and then when I kind of like moved out and become my own person, I kind of just stopped doing it. But never ever had it really long. I don't even know what my hair's like long.
Could you give Jack Grealish some tips and advice on his hair?
Like I said, he was when I played with him, he was playing up a level at Ireland, and he was, like I said, he was a player, and you could see the ones that have got it. And
yeah, unfortunately, I saw him make his England and 21 debut about 3 weeks after his Ireland last game, and yeah, he absolutely ripped some country apart. I think it was at Warsaw. Is it the best Scott Stadium in Warsaw? I think he scored 3, and Damari Gray was the other winger.
There you go.
Like,
that's it, isn't it?
Blows your mind, doesn't it?
Does blow your mind. Sometimes it's just trying to take the opportunity it's given. I guess he was given the opportunity, and he's taken that opportunity. So.
Did it ever cross your mind when you played for the 21s, like Ireland, that, you know, if it come to it, you'd never be, well, I don't know, would you be able to play for England if you played for 21s? Could you play for England?
Yeah, it was
it's
first
up until
wasn't it?
Friendlies, isn't it? First team friendlies.
To be fair, like I said, I think once I started playing for Ireland, I think I just realised that was probably going to be more my route into international football. So if I got the Ireland call up, I don't think I would have hesitated to turn it down.
And my boy hasn't got a choice. We were of Irish descent,
Yeah.
and if the England call-up comes, he ain't having it. It's just the Irish.
That's the thing.
Could he play for Ireland?
Yeah, I think so.
Got grandparents?
No, I think it's through. I think they go a little bit further nowadays. Because if that was the case, remember my job at Samoa, I think there was quite a few Samoans that wouldn't have qualified if it weren't for that type of thing.
Because I still have my Irish passport now, and I think my girls can get it because I've got one. So, like I said, I think it's. I said you can.
Now Brexit.
You got best of both worlds, didn't you? Especially when you get them. What queue is it? Passport control biscuit. Right, EU. Yeah. I'm Britannia can get that one. Yeah, but they said it was a great experience to just get that exposure. And I said if the Ireland call up had come up first team wise, I'd definitely.
You'd be answering Ireland's call, yeah.
I would have done. Yeah, 100%.
That's the national anthem, lad. Yeah.
I've played that song many a times in the car, belting it out.
You've got to learn the words because you've got to sing when you're there.
Yeah, that's it.
Not the colours of Mayo, mate, though.
Green and red.
Yeah, that's the one, yeah. Different story, we'll tell you off camera on that one.
Yeah. Definitely off camera. Outside your playing career, obviously you do work within football as well, for the Her Game 2 organisation.
We'll skip past the other club he works for because Cobblers fans won't want to hear that one. They just won't want to hear it.
No. Yeah, her game too. Obviously, if anyone doesn't know, what's the organisation about?
Like I said, it's trying to encourage more female players in the game, and this is obviously came before we had that fantastic Euros in the summer with the Lionesses going on and inspiring a nation. So for me, this come about because, like I said, my eldest daughter plays football, and she came in from school one day and she said, "Daddy, I'm not allowed to play football." And I said, "Who said that?" And he said, "The boys at school said I'm not allowed to play football." And I kind of looked at myself and I kind of took that personally from myself, and I was a bit like, have I not done enough to encourage her into that into the football world? Is it to me? And I was like, no. Like, if you want to play football, you will play football. And she from there, she hasn't looked back, and she's gone on and she's got her own little life in football now. But her game too come up, and I thought, and I'd like to try and get involved as much as I can. And like I said, it's just promoting her. It's her game too. It's not just the man's game, which in history it has been, where women were banned years ago from playing football and even representing England and stuff like that. So I said it was a no-brainer. I've got 2 young daughters myself, both love football, in football mad, brought up in that environment, and the fact that my daughter come home and said, like I said, she was not allowed to play, it's a boys' game, it really hit me hard. And I said it was an opportunity to come in and just trying to raise awareness, and like I said, it was fantastic. And then we had that fantastic Euro summer with the Lionesses, and now they're coming into the World Cup, and I think women's football has evolved fourfold since that, and it's fantastic to watch because you want them all to have the same equal rights to play football as we have, and we've been lucky to have over the years, and it's brilliant to see that they've got that exposure now. And like I said, my daughter's really pushing on with her football. She's been invited for a few clubs, and I said she's really enjoying it. And it's nice to look back because I send pictures to my dad of her playing and lifting trophies and captaining the team. She's like, just like you when you was younger. And if we didn't have organisations like Her Game Too and the inspiration and from the Lionesses, she might have missed that opportunity to do that. And I said it's fantastic.
Where does I don't know how it stands at the minute, but obviously I know there was a debate about the World Cup coming up, and it wasn't planned to be shown on telly, was it?
I still think they're
was it not
humming and ahhing about
Wow.
it in terms of TV rights and stuff. Who's got the biggest money? Who's going to pay the most to watch it? But like I said, it'd be awful if it isn't, because like I said, what it's done in the last few years to inspire not just girls in this country but abroad and where women's football's going, to not show it because you're arguing about who's going to pay more to watch it. It's embarrassing, really.
Yeah.
With all due respect, like when I was at Samoa, their under 17s tournaments for women, girls, that's a bit rude, for women, was on their local as in like BBC One in Samoa, so you could watch it without trying to watch it.
That's the thing. The amount of games I've been to this season with my eldest daughter, we've been to the Emirates, we've been to Boreham Wood, we've watched Arsenal women home and away, and like I said, my daughter loves it. She breathing football.
It's busy at Boreham Wood, doesn't it, when that's
but it's really nice to see it, because like we've been there a few years ago where maybe it wasn't as busy as what it is now, and
a few years ago you could get a season ticket at West Ham Ladies for £25.
Yeah, now like I said, the investment coming into games brilliant. There's more teams turning professional. There's more opportunities for young girls, and like I said, it's evolving, and we need to keep that exposure going, especially now this World Cup's coming. It could be another big World Cup for the England Lionesses or whoever. You've got the big teams in it. You've got Brazil, you've got USA, you've got teams
it's
like
the
that.
best players in the world, isn't it?
And
That's
it's going to be in a beautiful country
So
such as Australia, where, like I said, you're going to have that beautiful backdrops in the game. There's going to be beautiful weather to watch football. We're going to have a nice summer here. I said, you just got to get it, because
take nothing away from the achievement, and obviously the Lionesses did with the Euros winning it, but this is the World Cup. This is
different.
This is the creme de la creme of football, is it not?
World Cup is the biggest thing and biggest tournament, you know what I mean? And you would have thought, like even with the Lionesses now, World Cup's coming. This is a chance to push that on even more. Progression of the women's game, surely.
Yeah, you're talking about the Lionesses, and like you said, ever since that, they've sold out every game that they've put on.
Double at Milton Keynes, wasn't it?
Milton Keynes, they're selling out every stadium. Like, the audience is there, so why would you stop providing that for people? And I said, I'm sure they'll get it sorted because
there's no other World Cup on during the summer.
No,
like the men's World Cup was already been and gone, isn't it?
So
regardless of that, even if it was the men's World Cup, do you know what I mean? It's women's World Cup. I want the women's game to be equal. You have to show both on TV.
100%. And you've got to make it accessible for people as well. You can't put it on these like
obscure
subscribed channels where we're going through what we're going through as an economic crisis, and people might not have that luxury of having that. So you need to put it on where everyone has access to it, and like I said, get everyone supporting again, and just like I said, not even just for football, for women's game, for everything about it. Just get that nation together and get us all supporting something in the summer.
So what's your role entail for the Hell Game too?
It's just like I said, it's just an ambassadorial role, just a bit like I said, just where I can. I've got the hoodie and I just walk around, and like I said, it's just encouraging just encouraging the evolution of women's football and just being part of it really. And like I said, there's loads more I should do and possibly have to do going forward, but I said it's just supporting really, and just like I said, they've got loads of local supporters in every area of the country and just raising the flag for women's football.
Do you see it improving even further over the next few years?
Yeah, I think there's massive scope for it to improve. Like, I'm quite lucky where I'm at the moment. I've had access to the women's academy and watching that grow and strive, where they've gone from not having a team in every age group to now having fully funded teams in each age group. And like I said, it's not even about that, it's about you need it now, because the amount of girls that are trying to come into the game now is brilliant, where it wasn't been. And like I said, it's only going to keep getting bigger, and like I said, if they have another successful World Cup on our hands in terms of whoever wins it or whatever, it's only going to inspire more people to get involved.
I think it also helps with like FIFA promoting like this year's cover, or sorry, like FIFA 23's cover had Sam Kerr and Mbappe on the front, and I think that really helped in that sense.
In terms of FIFA as well, when they did this year, which was new, was they put women's WSL teams on as well. So my little one wanted it because she could now play as her favourite player, Steph Catley, on FIFA. So she loves it, and I said it's what you want. You want to just these little things, introductions, you're just building that profile up, and like I said, it's working.
Also helps in your household that Arsenal have got to the Champions League, Ladies Champions League.
We went to that game. That was heartbreaking.
Bayern Munich, wasn't it?
No, Wolfsburg. They beat me. Yeah, we was at the game. It went to extra time, and
relatively cheap tickets for Arsenal ladies, isn't it?
I think at the Emirates semi-card, I think it was like 30 quid for all of us. I think that was me and my two daughters. So.
Yeah, because I took my lads to go and watch the under, I want to say 18s
FA
Cup
yeah.
semi-final, and I think that cost us a grand total of 2 adults, 1 kid. It was like £14, I think.
Yeah, it's amazing, but my daughter's
it's a great day for me, Dad.
My daughter still hasn't forgiven a lot of Ruben Moy for what happened for the last goal, which is thing. I was like, it's part of football. That you learn from him. It won't be the first mistake she's probably making a career. It won't be the last. But
I think an Arsenal ladies legend lives locally to Northampton as well. I think Faye White.
Yeah,
I'm sure she's
it was local. A bit before, but we was at a Bournemouth game, and we met Kelly Smith, and she had a picture with Kelly Smith, and it's a bit like the stories now where
it's Leeds, I think, isn't she?
She's Arsenal as well. Where she had the picture of Leah Williamson when she was a mascot, and she was like, dream big, and my daughter's definitely taken that on board, and she's like, I can get there. And she, like I said, it's really nice because she's like, I want to be a professional footballer when I'm older. And I say to her, she's quite lucky in that way, because I've been lucky myself to have that exposure, so I know where she needs to be, and she don't want Dad helping her and coaching her, so she'll have to do it in different ways. But yeah, she's enjoying it.
I wouldn't say that personally, that's all children, mate, believe me.
Yeah. How soon do you think it'll be before we see someone like Emma Hayes in contention for a job?
She was in contention for a Prem job the other week, wasn't she?
I'd love to see it.
Was it Chelsea?
I know when they were looking at it, someone said, I remember on TalkSport, they said,
she
why
was
is she not in contention?
She was a top 5 favourite for a Prem club.
Yeah,
recently.
she was also linked with, was it Crawley in League 2 a little while back as well? It's coming. It will come
Didn't Hope
soon.
Powell go to her men's team? Or she was involved with something that wasn't ladies football?
Yeah, there's been a few, but like I said, I think we're really close. I think you'll see it sooner rather than later, and what a great way to start. You know, it's going to take that one person to break the mould, so to speak, and once you've opened the door, there lead to many more coming, because there's some excellent coaches out there, and why not be given the same opportunities? So
obviously, as well as her going to your kick it out ambassador as well.
How many did you got?
The thing is, the kick it out one came back quite a few years ago. It was part of the next 20 stuff, so it was like they picked 20 young up and coming footballers to be part of the next 20 ambassadorial group, and we went round to local clubs. That's kind of my role's kind of slowly petered out. I'm not doing as much in there, but like I said, it's just I went round with Paul Mortimer, who was brilliant, and went to schools, and we were just educating kids on discrimination, because like I said, we're living in a society where it's still an issue, and especially in football we still have a lot of issues where we're dealing with this sort of stuff. And I said it's nice to be part of it all, but like I said, you just got to keep doing your little bit, and educating players while we're young, and just trying to create a better society for football in general and in general public.
Do you think the abuse that players get has decreased in the game recently, or do you think it's still at the same current level
in terms of
racial abuse being thrown out around grounds,
or homophobic abuse as well? Because
I think it's
the ladies game help with that, because the stereotypical viewpoint of people of a dinosaur age of ladies football is a certain viewpoint, and that is probably a somewhat homophobic, I would suggest.
Yeah,
has
it's
that viewpoint
tough.
changed now?
I think nowadays, I think it's with such a social media influence and stuff like that, I think it's more.
Did you still hear that kind of stuff when you were on the pitch at that level?
I've been called all sorts, like you said.
I know this is going to sound horrible, but I kind of expect it a little bit more the lower down the leagues you get.
Yeah.
Because it's less stewarded, less educated.
It's not even that. It's because I think until now there's not really been much of a punishment. I think because people before, it seems now clubs and the FA and stuff are punishing people more for doing it, especially like on social media. They're finding out who's done it and tracking them down. But I think years and years ago, like I can remember being at clubs and, like I said, the homophobic and being called all sorts of names. Like, I don't really want to say it on here really. But I said, and then you say something and nothing was ever done about it, and that's where I think we're evolving, because maybe not as quick as what we'd like, but like I said, we're still people at the end of the day. It still hits people hard, and some people.
A lot of people forget that, don't they? That just because you're a professional footballer, not you personally, but a professional footballer gets paid X amount a month. You can pay your 24 quid for a football game and shout as much dogs abuse and then walk off and it's fine. That's not the case anymore.
I like to just think though. I just put it down to this: would you, if you saw me in the street, would you say it to me there, or is it because you're in a football environment and you know that the player that you're saying it to can't
do anything about it? That's
where I think a lot of it is, and I think
with Ted Lasso in their last couple of episodes they touched on that as well, which I think was really proud of them to do that, because it showed that what could happen going the other way if the player did lose his head and come out and just.
But then everyone's quick to blame. I know it's obviously a programme and we see that, but we've seen that in recent with Eric Dyer when he went in the crowd to protect his family. But we're sitting there, but that's what any normal person would do. So what? Just because he's a footballer at the club,
why should it make it any different?
Why should it make it different?
Because he's come off a football pitch to do it rather than across the road.
But as you rightly said, would you have done that in the street? No,
of course not. Because people unfortunately think they're untouchable in a football stadium, and that's where I think we go wrong. And like I said, that there's still abuse out there. We've seen it. It's been high profile now, and I think, like I said, perhaps back in the day it wasn't as spoken about and as made as public as what it is now, where now you said a lot of people like Ivan Toney, and they're not afraid to name and shame people that are doing it. And I think it's the best way, because we need to show people that it's not okay and you're not going to get away with it. And we're slowly getting there, and like I said, I'm sure it will continue. And my worrying thing is, I don't think you could ever stop it completely. I think to achieve that we're talking about an ideal, perfect world, and unfortunately we don't live in that. But I think we can definitely,
not idealistic, is it?
Yeah, I think we can definitely make it harder, but less happening. Really, we can make it more repercussions, harder for people to.
The more high profile you make that repercussion, the less likely this will continue to happen.
Yeah, in that sort of terms.
What would you do? Obviously, we've never seen nothing like it, but obviously, what Vinicius went through in Spain, like half a stadium screaming at him. Like, what would you expect the Spanish sort of FA to do about that?
This is what I mean, but
got to punish them in the pocket, because that's the only way they'll learn.
But like you say, they threw out, was it an 8-game ban, and then they appealed it and they've reduced it to, is it 3 games?
Shut the stadium. Shut the stadium down. No concession. Then they'll. I
think you hit clubs where it hurts in terms of money and stuff like that. But why can't we bring up the points deduction? So these clubs love their. But if they get 3-point deduction every time that they do it, and they're doing it constantly, and their team are suffering for it, it will soon stop. Like I said, you can go to, say, with one of these clubs and go, right, you've had an 80 grand fine. That's nothing to these clubs. That's pocket money. That's what they find in the back of the couch. Do you know what I mean? It's not hurting them. You need to hurt them ultimately where it hurts, like on the pitch, in terms of like, right, make you play behind closed doors for the rest of the season and stuff like that. Hit them with equity and stuff like that. And like I said, making them lose points. If they miss out on Champions League football by 1 point because their fans were racially abusing players all season,
then on your fans' heads.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we've seen anything as bad as that in this country, have we? In recent times.
Not in recent times. I think back in the day there was. Yeah. I think it depends. I think from our point of view, I don't think we could really talk on it because of our ethnicity, but I'm sure there's certain people that still get that of that ethnicity still get that shit now.
Mm-hmm. One thing I wanted to ask you, I don't know, you might have a better idea than us, but obviously how many cases do we hear of racial abuse like in the top leagues compared to how many actually happen in each game? Do you reckon it happens a lot more than we hear about?
Yeah, like my current work at the moment, I'm quite lucky to still be in a football environment, and I'm dealing with issues at a much younger level where this still happens from both parents and players.
Do you think it happens in the grassroots game a lot as well still?
I reckon it does, because like you said, it's harder to police and control, and like I said, it's a lot hard. This is where it's tough to say where we're going to go with it, because it is so hard to police in certain, like I said, the lower down you go, if you're at grassroots, someone can just throw it out. But like I said, it might be a different environment, because like I said, if someone does it, you might go hiding for it. Whereas like I said, in football, like I said, I've been in academy football now since September, since I stopped, and I've dealt with quite a few incidences where it's still happening. And like I said, it's not just an older generation thing anymore, where like I said, it might have been back in the day where people's upbringing might have been different. It's still going on in younger people. That's where the concern is, and like I said, we need.
That's shocking to hear that. So for me personally, as you said that, I was shocked for the simple fact that I thought it was a generation thing. That I'm not excusing people of a certain generation, but their upbringing and their lack of understanding of different social groups push that racism somewhat. So as an example, I'll use not my granddad as an example. Was an Irishman that came over from England. He hadn't seen a black man until he was like 20. So he was racially very scared of that particular ethnicity because he didn't understand.
Yeah.
And I think with the modern day nowadays, with how support groups are, and there's kind of like stuff like Kick It Out and stuff like Her Game and stuff like that, I thought the understanding would be better. So to hear that still happening from people that are not of the age group I expected kind of sickens me a little bit, that people of my age group and below are making such vile comments.
That's the thing, and like I said, it is, especially with the younger generation now, it's all about education, and like I said, trying to educate them that there's a certain way. But like even an Irishman now being called a gypsy is now banned as racist, and I was called that so many times.
Oh mate, so was I coming through school.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and now, like I said, it's taken so long to be called, like to be to be established at. But like I said, it is.
It's positive reaffirmations every time somebody does the right thing to kind of push that even further rather than the bad things.
But we're still going through a bit where people are reluctant to do anything about it, which is the worrying thing. And like, you just have to encourage, be like, look, you could be the first person that, if you take this where it needs to go the right place, that you inspire other people to do it. And I said, slowly and surely we're getting more people now reporting it. Like I said, I've been doing what I've done, and for a few months, well, for nearly a year, and I've had my issues. But like I said, it's scary where it is still happening. And like I said, it's not just a generational thing anymore. And I said, for me, like I said, it comes down when you just, especially the younger generation, just make it education and making it acceptable that everyone has their own right to be who they are, and whatever we're talking about, skin, racial, like
the 9 character.
Do you know what I mean? So like I said, we all live in a world where no one's the same, and we should celebrate our differences, not
be tortured or anything
for something we believe in.
So. I put a tweet out earlier asking for some questions for yourself.
They're all pretty like.
We'll just run through them.
Easy questions. You got away lightly, I reckon.
Well, the first one, obviously we've asked about Randall Williams. He's still playing somewhere, isn't he?
Yeah, but did he go to Hull?
No, he retired for embarrassment being in your pocket the whole game.
No, like I said to you, that one I had that upper hand because I played against him before, but I said it's the luck of the draw really. I just used my experience as a player, and I was quite lucky. Like I said he plays the way I like. I'm not going to say how I don't like players because I'm still playing. I don't want anyone to come up against me and shoot anymore. But people that run against me and want to take me on, I'm all for it. I'm like, bring it on. And he was one of them. And I said,
so our sponsor is Mitch Austin from Harbour Town. So he'll probably be listening to this podcast. So I probably can't cut it there if I was you. Yeah.
Someone else asked, what was the dressing room like in the Cobblers relegation season? Like what was going through the players' heads?
It was tough because we obviously got promoted, and then we had quite a big squad overhaul. We changed a lot of players, which was hard because we had to obviously re-gel as a group, and a lot of players.
Lost your core.
Yeah, we lost a lot of big players. We lost like Charlie Good and Jordan Turnbull, and big one was I've gone blank. I'll come back to it in a minute. But we lost that
Good
core.
was a big signing going to Brentford, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the main core. He was like he was our captain. He was our leader, and like I said, we lost a big group of that. And
what do you think happened to Charlie Good there? He obviously didn't work out from at Brentford, really, did it?
They do Moneyball at Brentford, don't they? They buy on stats rather than seeing
that's
performance.
the thing, but like it seemed right at the time because like, Chaz was playing really well, but maybe it was the jump because I think did Brentford just get promoted to the Premier League? Maybe it might have been better for him if they were in the Champ. He might have been more exposure, but he obviously went out on loan, didn't he, to Sheffield United last year, and said some things don't move out, but it's just that exposure. I'm sure.
I think he got the Cobblers a fair whack of money though, didn't he? To be fair,
that's the thing. Like for the club, after everything that happened at COVID, it would have been a silly move for the club not to take the.
Could you see him coming back to the Cobblers at any time? Now they're in League One.
I could do. It depends though, because I think Keith Cole had a massive influence on Chaz. So maybe if Keith Cole was still there, but I said that year was tough because I think I struggled personally that year as well, because I think that's where my love. I always said to myself, I'd come out of the game when I've lost the love for it, and I kind of lost the love that year. But it was a tough year, and it was just, like I said, everything we did, we just seemed to. We didn't get anywhere. We changed managers. John Brady came in and we give it a fair whack, and I think we just obviously missed out by a couple of points at the end. But as football, like I said, we knew we knew where we was and what was at stake. We had some good results. We beat Charlton at home 3 or 4-0, and then
was that Bowyer's Charlton? Was that Lee Bowyer's Charlton?
Yeah, we beat them, and then we lost to like Rochdale at home as well, 1-0, and who were battling relegation with us. So we had the opportunities. We just were so inconsistent that year, and to put a finger on it was tough. I think defensively we were letting in goals, and then we just weren't scoring enough at the top end either.
The next two I think you sort of answered earlier, but I'll ask you now. The best player you come up against?
I've played against you yet, Jordan.
This is the thing. Like I said, I've been lucky to play against like Daniel Sturridge and Coutinho, but
is he still going now, Sturridge? And
he was in the A League, wasn't he? I don't know if he's still going now, but for me, even just like having the luxury of playing like training with Adele every day, I'd class has come up against one of the best players, because like I said, he was something else. And when he had the ball and he was coming at you, you would just close your legs, just go past me, Adele, but just don't nutmeg me. And I said I've been lucky in my career to play with and against some big names. But yeah.
And it was the best ground you played at?
Best ground, hands down, was Anfield.
So it would have been. You didn't play at Ellen Road then, no?
No, it would have been Wembley, but unfortunately, like my one time, it just wasn't the same. It was an empty Wembley, and I said I'm lucky at one, and can always go with one game or one win at Wembley.
100% so right. Yeah.
But yeah, Anfield for the atmosphere, and like I said, it was a different level. But yeah.
Next one was what's your most memorable moment of your career?
Do you know what? My most memorable moment in football in general, it doesn't even come in my professional career.
No.
So when I was a kid, I can remember this day, and I always tell this story. I was coming up to I was 6, I was coming up to my 7th birthday, and I was told at 7 I could play football. I wasn't old enough at 6, so I can remember turning 7, and I went down to the football ground, like to the local team with my dad, and I had my 7 badge on to show everyone I was 7, I was old enough. But it was obviously October, so the season had started, and I was told I weren't allowed to play because the season had obviously started. And I can remember the heartbreak and the crying, and this was me at 7, this is my earliest football memory, and I can remember it. And I said being told not to play, and luckily my uncle was a manager of one of the teams in that club, and he was like, "Oh, you can come play with us, I'll let you in." And so I played with my cousin and my uncle, and I said I like, because he always, whenever I see him now, he always say, "Oh, I'm the reason you became football," and as they do. But like I said, I don't know what had happened if I never had played, because like I said, I remember walking down there and I was like, right, this is it, I'm going to play football now, and then being told no, and I said I might not have ever played again, and I might not have been lucky enough to sit here and talk about my career. But I said for me, that's probably my most memorable before. But then if I look back at my career, I've been lucky to I've seen some funny stuff. I've seen 2 players in their own team tackle each other and knock each other over, and with no other players round. So I've seen some fun bits, I've seen some low times, but it's all brilliant memories at the end of the day.
Obviously his post-football best moment was coming on this podcast, George, obviously.
Of course.
It's been a highlight.
I'm going to ask you to dig someone out now.
Go on.
Who's the worst player you've come up against in the pro game?
Oh, hang on. I think there's a 2-parter. It's got to be worst attitude and worst ability, because I think they're 2 different things, aren't they?
Worst ability.
You think you see him playing, you think you don't deserve to be here.
I think that about a lot of players, to be honest.
No, not Rushden and Diamonds, obviously, because you're saving your skin. Yeah.
Can't say that now. No. Let's talk about worst attitude. I would say someone.
Was Paddy Kenny at QPR when you were there?
Yeah, I know. I like Paddy. See, a lot of people say Joey Barton, my attitude, but I didn't have a problem with Joey. I sat next to him for years in the changing room, and the thing with Joey was he knew if he wound people up, he just wouldn't stop, and that's what probably his downfall. But I had no issues with him. But
any of the foreign lads at QPR have the worst attitude apart from Adele?
For me, I love him to bits, and I really don't want to say this, but I'm Traore, the lad from Arsenal. He came to QPR after. Yeah. From an Arsenal fan, in terms of when I watched him laughing and joking after Man United beat us 8-0, and he was laughing and joking off the pitch, that hurt me. But then knowing him as a person as well, he was another one. He had the talent, but he was awful. Just was always late, and he just didn't care really. So in terms of that, I'd say that. But worst player, technically,
come on, you got to dig one out.
I'm trying to think in general,
I'll give you mine when it's Jordan.
That was it.
You didn't see me play.
I don't need to.
You do need
I
to.
think.
I'm going to stick my boots on for April.
He got offered on Saturday, by the way. Let's not get it twisted. He got offered to play in my trial
I'm
session.
gonna have to. I don't know. I can't think of anyone.
I'm going to sign up
technique-wise.
for Harbour and have a run against Michael.
Do it.
I'm trying to think. That's actually. I'm going to ponder this all night now because there's been loads like that I've played with.
There's been loads. That's a concern, isn't it? There's been loads
but
of
like
terrible
to put
players.
a finger on one person's tough.
Any surprises in there that like Prem players or anything?
Nah, I'm thinking.
How did you get to
He's dropping down a league in his head, League One.
I'm trying to think. It's tough, mate. Like, it's really tough. No, I'm gonna have to pass on that one.
Oh, controversial that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I can't
No
think of
worries,
it.
no worries. Any other business from you, Sam?
No.
No?
Yeah, for once, no. Oh, well, I don't know, actually. No, we had the trial session here, didn't we?
Oh yeah.
On Saturday.
How'd it get on?
It was alright. I had to play 20 minutes, kid.
Was
It was
it?
done. My centre half.
Who's your worst player?
My centre half that I want to sign on from a Sunday League club. He's a diehard Man United fan. He's good, rude. He's a little bit injury prone, but I fucking love him. He's rock hard, mate, and he'll kick 7 barrels of shit out of you. So he can do whatever he wants. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your squad coming together now, ready for the new season?
I think so. There's one particular lad that I'm excited about signing. It's just if the first team will keep their hands off him. Ross, you know who it is, pal, so I don't even need to say the kid's name.
Don't give him the exposure. Someone else.
Exactly that. Yeah, exactly that. I've learned that from last season.
Yeah, I'm on the prowl.
One for you, Michael. Am I right in saying I tried to find it online, but I couldn't find it? But were you on Arsenal Fan TV a few weeks ago?
Yeah, I was lucky. So
No, it's not lucky to be on Arsenal.
This is
TV.
where I'm-
There's no luck about
this
that.
is where I'm like, I'm trying to, like I said, I'm trying to get myself out there a bit more in terms of doing a bit out of my comfort zone. So the opportunity arose, I went on it, and what an experience it was. Like I said, I do watch it after a game and see the views because I find it quite interesting to hear what fans' view on the game, and regardless if they win or lose, because some people say that only made its thing because when Arsenal went through that bad season and stuff like that. But I like to listen to it when they win because, like you said, you feel that atmosphere from fans, and it's nothing better than that. But like I said, the opportunity to come up and to sit in the studio and watch a game, and well, yeah, it was different. So
Who was on there with you? Robbie on there.
no, I had Turkish, myself, James. Yeah, so it was alright. It was some of the bigger names, and there was me in there. I was a bit nervous, but yeah, I enjoyed it. Like I said,
Where did you go for that?
it was in London. It was literally a stone's throw away from the stadium.
Was it?
So I walked out and I saw the stadium as I walked to the.
It's over the road, isn't it?
Yeah, so yeah, but like I said, to watch and talk about the game and that you're watching anyway, I was going to watch it at home anyways. Was brilliant and enjoyed it. Yeah.
Were you back on there at any stage?
The doors. I'm guessing the doors are open. Like I said, if they ever need me again, I've said that I'm happy to come back on. So
Fair play.
comes to the next season.
What did you make of Arsenal season?
Oh, gold.
How frustrated are you with the last sort of 8 games?
Yeah, it's the hope that kills you, isn't it? I think that's football in general. But like I said, trying to look at the positives, and you think like now like I said, you've got Champions League, you become a bit more desirable. You can attract the bigger players. Like I said, with Arsenal, the rumours of obviously trying to get like Declan Rice and people like that. And like I said, as a club like Arsenal, obviously to be in the talks where you can be pushing for titles again, it's brilliant. Like I said, my last title was 2006 or 4 or 6, whatever year it was, and I said it's been a long time. So I said I'm quite lucky. Well, it's weird actually. My dad's side are all Arsenal, my mum's side are all Spurs, so makes for good reading, doesn't it? So like I said, it's enjoyable, but like I said it was a tough season. Like I said, 11 points clear. And then you beat Man United 3-2 at home, and you think that's it, and then it just.
And you fluff it.
We did, yeah.
Yeah.
There's no way to say it. We did, but
I've had this debate with a lot of Arsenal friends that I have that you think your season was tough. At least you didn't get relegated. I'm a diehard Leeds fan. Yeah. So when you think you've had a bad season and you finish second in the Premier League and have your Champions League, I think I've had a much tougher season because now
Big Sam was the right appointment at the time.
He was, but he should have been come in a lot sooner. We shouldn't have got rid of Marcelo in the first place. We backed the chairman rather than the manager, which I understand. But in hindsight, again,
There you go. He's got the final say, though, the chairman, isn't he? If he's
who's
not
now
happy.
gone? to Sampdoria.
Just got really. Hopefully, though, big club like Leeds, you're not down there for too. You can't afford to be down there for too long.
16 years was far too long.
That's what I'm saying. You need either bounce back this year or next year, max, didn't you? In terms of.
I'm hoping Robbie
it just gets
Kingstain's
tough.
on the coaching though. Because I thought he was a big source for us. I think, especially with Patrick Bamford, who can't cow's ass with a banjo. It's nice to have a striker that can show you where the net is.
That's the thing, and affiliation as well, isn't it? Like, so yeah, I said this.
So, however bad do you think your season was?
Yeah.
It wasn't quite as bad as you
Like I
think
said,
it
it's
was.
always the hope that kills you, isn't it? There would have been a bit where you guys would have been like, right, this is it, we're going to stay up, and then it don't happen. And
But last day killed me. I didn't even watch the games.
yeah, you
So
guys
obviously
were done there,
we've
though,
all got
weren't
those dodgy streams, haven't we? And I didn't put a single game of football on. I turned my phone off. I didn't want to know.
you? To be fair, I did watch the Everton game, and I was a bit like, I would like Leicester obviously being, and I was like, a goal at Everton could really throw a good final day, and it just didn't happen, did it? It's a bit boring, but yeah.
We were working outside the King Power, and just for fun, I sprayed a big West Ham badge on the floor on the day before the game, and it was still there on the Monday anyway. So. And
Probably still
none
there.
of the barriers had been knocked down or anything.
I think they're after Jack Harrison from Leeds. To be fair, I think it.
Are they?
Yeah, I think it was big
See,
talk today on Sky Sports News.